When the instructor from the Demon Hunter Academy calls this kid into the arena to test his strength, he makes it clear he's not playing around. His first attack smashes the ground, and Aang barely dodges it. The second blow is just as devastating, and the instructor has no intention of stopping. Then he grabs Aang by the neck and throws him against the wall. The other instructors start to worry that things have gone too far and it's time to stop. But when Aang gets up, he decides not to hold back anymore and show them his true power. When he emerges from the dust, his aura is so overwhelming and terrifying that even the instructor is genuinely scared. He had never seen anything like it before. Everyone thought Aang was just an ordinary student, but it turns out he possesses the power of the strongest demon in the world. Now it's Aang's turn. Before the instructor can process what's happening, our boy charges in so fast that he barely manages to block the blow, but it's just a feint. In an instant, Aang throws the instructor off balance with a single hit, and with just a few powerful attacks, Aang claims victory. Everyone is stunned. Our boy just defeated the strongest instructor at the academy. Who is Aang, and why is he so strong? Let's go back to the beginning. The boy who failed every test at the Demon Hunter Academy is now standing in front of the synchronization machine. This machine measures how well your body connects with a demon core, the energy humans use for their transplanted armor. The higher your synchronization, the more demonic power you can control. The top cadet, C2 Lu, scored 39%, the highest in the group, and everyone calls her a prodigy, but no one expects much from Aang. But when the test starts, the numbers shoot up, 20%, 40%, and higher, all the way to 80%. The instructors panic, thinking the machine must be broken, but it's not. Our boy is the real deal, because no one knows that this loser was once humanity's strongest warrior. 60 years ago, he led an army of heroes against the demons that nearly destroyed the world. He fought the Crimson Demon King, and died in that final battle. But instead of dying, he woke up in a weak body decades into the future. When he looks around, he realizes he's in a camp, trapped in someone else's body. He feels like he's dreaming, but when he examines his hands, he sees it's all too real. He touches his face and sees it's different, not his cool, invincible, charismatic, and handsome face, nor his strong metal body. He starts to panic, asking himself who he is and where he is. Apparently, he's at a training camp in the Helios region. The commander speaks to them, making sure they understand the soldier evaluation. He goes on to say that they wouldn't be here without the soldiers who fell in the war, and yells at them, asking if they know what it means to be a soldier. Everyone confers. The protagonist, however, does not. He mutters that the information isn't right, but the commander hears him and comes over. He interrogates him, asking if he doesn't understand the symbol that soldiers represent. The commander asks him his name, but the protagonist doesn't know what to say since he can't reveal himself as the legendary hero Aang. Surprisingly, even reincarnated, his name is still Aang, and this angers the commander even more, who sees it as a disgrace. He calls him a stupid fool who still hasn't grasped the basics of a soldier's discipline and slams his face into the ground. The protagonist is disappointed that his body doesn't react to such a weak blow and that he still shares his name. As the commander leaves, he threatens him by saying he'll be keeping a close eye on him, then turns to address the crowd. He tells him to head to the evaluation field as the physical test is next. A soldier helps Aang up and asks if he's okay. He introduces himself as Lon Sin Nuo and tells him he has a name to be proud of. Just then, a white-haired girl interrupts, mocking Aang for sharing the name of the legendary hero. One thing's for sure, she hates his name. By the way, her name is Sichu Lu, and she walks off calling him childish, which really annoys Aang. He complains to Lan that the girl is really stuck up. Hearing this, his new friend is surprised that he doesn't know her. He identifies her as the most anticipated soldier in their group, nicknamed. His new friend helps him up, and a girl snaps a photo of him from behind, calling out. She introduces herself as Sui Jiao Yu Ho and says it's a pleasure to meet them. Apparently, she saw their interaction as a strange scene. During the physical test, Aang gets excited, reminding himself that even though his body is weak, he's still the strongest warrior. He plans to amaze everyone with monstrous scores. The test starts with the long-distance endurance round. Aang takes off quickly, aiming for first place and a new record. In the end, he breaks a record, but for the longest time in the long-distance endurance run, finishing last and becoming the target of ridicule. The second test is for explosive arm strength, where Aang also comes in last and twists his wrist. He does horribly again in the third test, the explosive leg strength test, finishing last. Lu mocks him for having the worst results in the academy. Lan tries to cheer him up, while Sui Jiu is disappointed that this might be the last time she can take pictures of him together. Meanwhile, Yi Yao Tang and the officer discuss his performance. Yi tells the captain that Aang's results are so poor that he should be eliminated immediately, without even moving on to the second round. The captain agrees that there isn't much hope, but says he still has the right to participate in the second round, which could be his last chance. He orders the second round to begin immediately. For this test, they gather in a building and their synchronization with the special equipment is evaluated. For Aang, this is his chance to shine. He remembers having maintained an average synchronization of over 96% in the past. Even though he's not in top shape, he knows it's all about determination and he's ready to silence the doubters. When he checks out the graft equipment, which looks futuristic and is super lightweight, he feels excited. Lu, who trains with a martial arts family, gets a synchronization score of 39, the highest. This makes her the center of attention, and someone even wants to ask her out. When she finds out her score in the room, she's ecstatic, even though she tries to keep her cool. Hung is amazed to see this girl achieve 39% on her first try. Her new friend talks about how Lu seems to have a hidden burning strength, and Aang feels it too. Lan notices that his friend doesn't seem worried, and Aang confirms that he's not. After all, he's used to this. The test continues. For many newbies, it's their first time using the grafting equipment, and it clearly hurts. The demonic core hits them hard, putting a lot of pressure on their bodies. Some can't stand the pain and give up. To pass, the warriors need at least 10% synchronization. Lan manages 24%, which is a pleasant surprise. Su Yu gets 30% and also passes. Yi Yao Tang says that this round is showing some promising new talent. Her colleague points out that, including Su Yu, 6 warriors stand out. Yao Tang agrees that there are good prospects, but others just aren't cut out for this. Then it's our boy's turn, and people start mocking him, guessing his synchronization rate will be low because of his poor performance earlier. Aang is sure they'll eat their words. He's gonna show them what he's capable of and hopes they're ready for a big surprise. His face says it all. Aang chooses the red core, which boosts physical strength. He knows there are 6 different demonic cores. The common ones are red, yellow, green, and blue. He believes that a high synchronization rate depends on having a strong willpower. The stronger your willpower, the more power from the core you can control. When I ask if he's ready, he says yes. As soon as he starts, everyone in the room feels a strong reaction, especially Lu, who's shocked that it's coming from Aang. Our guy is determined to show them the power of an elite warrior. Lan already suspects he's hiding his true strength. Everyone's amazed when his synchronization reaches 40%. Aang thinks he can reach 96%, so he pushes himself harder. The warriors watch as his rate climbs to 60%. Yi Yao Tang doesn't believe it and wonders if the equipment is malfunctioning. A girl reports that it's still rising, now at 80%. Some think Aang is cheating or that the equipment's broken, but we know our guy just wants to prove his strength. Then he feels something strange change and gets exhausted. He said they can't go on. Someone asks if he's joking, and it turns out the equipment did malfunction. In the end, his synchronization is only 10%. The assistant explains to Yi Yao Tang that the core broke and is defective, causing strange readings. The commander isn't sure if it's just a malfunction. Ung still passes with 10%, even though others think the core is faulty. A body that weak shouldn't be able to reach such a high rate. Our guy's friend runs over to check on him. Lu feels jealous, thinks the spotlight's being stolen from him, and isn't happy about it. Lan rescues our guy, who feels grateful to have passed with that score. Sui Yu takes pictures of Lan rescuing his friend. Later, Aang reflects on the strange loss of strength, like something instantly drained it, something he had never felt before. Even though his willpower pushed him to 80%, a low-quality core shouldn't have broken like that. Yi Yao Tang congratulates them for making it to the final test to fight against demons. She hopes they make it out safely. Then they're told to head to the next location. Aang, feeling unwell, leaves with a bad feeling, thinking about dying. The commander still can't get over the fact that Aang's crimson core was shattered, which makes him curious about his potential. He wants to see how this rookie will handle the next challenge in the house beyond the wall in the mist. In the third evaluation area, the cadets gather in front of the door, about to open. Hun thinks about how it's his first time going out and how people have lived in separate communities for years. Beyond the wall, a thick fog always covers the area, so they're told not to waste time, to move quietly, and to check their gear before speaking, or they could die. He wonders if the new core he received is enough. You don't think that's the problem, but his strength suddenly vanishes, as if something inside him is rejecting him. Could it be a side effect of time travel? As he moves forward, he senses demons nearby. Shockwaves emanate from him and reach a cave where a demon is hiding. The demons, sensing a stronger presence, get scared. Aang thinks these are the demons he sensed, since something inside him starts to resonate for no reason. Just as he thinks this, Lu pushes him. He apologizes, and Lenka comes over to ask if there's a problem. Aang starts to respond, but before he can finish, they're ordered to form a team. Since everyone's ready, there's no need to wait. They have to catch up with the group. Su Yu wonders if joining them was part of the plan, but Aang never thought about it. Lu was worried that no one would join her. It seems she knows herself just how arrogant she is. Before moving on, Su Yu takes a picture of the group, a piece of evidence that solidifies their team. The dissipating beacon is a black structure made of minerals. One of them clears the fog within a certain range. The examiner explains that they'll do the test in teams of 4. He assumes the test is a house in the fog. Each member receives a combat knife and a small anti-fog device made from the same material. Their mission is simple. The house in the fog is the new recruit's final challenge. A warrior must stay alert to dangers in the fog. Being a warrior is more than just being strong. It means facing fears in the unknown as a team. They must awaken their inner hunter, defeat the demons, and thus earn the title of warrior. The first team finishes and the second gets ready. Yoshioku, leader of the third squad, watches the contestants from the doorway. She is accompanied by Joel, and Commander Yi Yao Teng is there as well. The woman notices several talents but focuses on Lu. She wants to know what her teammates think of the newcomers. Joel is also interested in Lu. From the martial family and well-trained, she could become a great warrior. Yao Teng seems obsessed with Aang. He knows there was nothing wrong with his core, so he's still curious about what happened at the previous event. The woman snaps him out of his thoughts, calls him Tang Tang, and asks what he thinks. Our tough commander doesn't want her to use such an embarrassing nickname. Joel notices that only this woman can call our commander that. Then she asks if they checked the demon levels, since only those without fins are supposed to be in the exam. Ji Yaotong assures her not to worry. They've been monitoring the area for days to make sure the exam is safe, with no finned demons near Hilo. Joel adds that if a finned demon does show up, they'll protect them. The test for the next group ends, and it's time for the 10th group. Liu, who's with Aang, gets ready. Our guy picks up the container, but Lu snatches it from him and runs off, excited to show off her skills. Aang wonders why she's so eager to impress. Everyone follows Lu, jumping to place the container. Tadai Yoshioku notices that Lu's recovery core is impressive. Her skill matches that of the blue agility cores, which shows her martial background. Soon the demons attack. Aang suggests that his group light. Lan jumps into action, throwing a powerful punch. Yi Yao Teng, impressed by Lan, thinks he's doing a great job and has good control over his core strength. Aang pulls out his knife and tells everyone to focus on one demon each. Everyone agrees and jumps into battle. Sui attacks a demon several times, killing it. Lan also takes down a demon with a single punch. Commander Joel points out that Sui Yu and the Brute work perfectly together. Sui Yu shows off some impressive moves and makes the most of the agility cores. Yi Yao Tong reminds them not to rely on anyone else. Lu stabs a demon and makes it explode. It's Aang's turn. He focuses on 3 key points: the throat, chest, and abdomen. He targets these areas, keeping in mind his body's limits and aiming for quick damage. He gets ready to test his skills in the exam and attacks the demon. He sees the demon throw a punch, dodges it, and stabs the knife under its shoulder. He's bothered by how slow his reactions are. The demon tries to kick him, he dodges and stabs it again. His movements aren't smooth. He lands a few hits, but they're weak. Seeing this, his teammates suspect he's just toying with his targets. Meanwhile, Suchu snaps some photos, hoping to catch everything on camera. Lai Yu stays quiet, but thinks Aang is showing off on purpose. Tadari Yoshioku takes note of our guy's fighting style, and impressed by how he keeps up the pressure, asks who he is. Joel also praises our guy, saying he moves like someone with a lot of experience. After fighting for a while, Aang realizes he can't use his old skills and is already feeling exhausted. It's a bad situation, so he decides to finish off the demon right away. Just as he's about to attack, something else suddenly appears and takes out the demon first. Sui wonders about the strange roots that show up during the fight. Then, out of nowhere, a one-fin demon appears. Sensing real danger, Yi Tang tells everyone to fall back, and they quickly do so. The other two elders also step forward to fight the one-finned demon. Tada Yoshioku tells the hunters not to panic and to stay with our commander, who promises to protect them until they reach the village. The one-finned demon senses that one of the humans resembles a demon. Aang and his three friends are trapped, confused about what that means. Lu is worried that the previous demons are nothing compared to the one-finned demon, who poses such a deadly threat that they'll be killed for a single mistake. Aang realizes that, in his current body, he can't handle a one-finned demon. Terror grips him at the thought of fighting such a powerful enemy as just an ordinary warrior. The demon easily incapacitates all four of them and starts dragging them away. Then Yoshioku and his companions chase after it, but the demon burrows underground with the four, and Joel shouts for everyone to follow. After a while, the trail suddenly ends. Then Yoshioku wonders how a one-finned demon could have appeared so unexpectedly, especially since Yi Tang had checked this area for days, and nothing had ever happened before. This had never happened until now. Yi Tang arrives, demanding to know where the four warriors went and why everyone stopped tracking the demon. Joel suggests he calm down because the enemy disappeared. The lady points out that the one-finned demon probably went deeper underground, and that they shouldn't rush, since no one has explored that area yet. Remembering the loss of his brother, Yi Tang punches the ground, blaming himself for putting the four of them in danger. Joel suggests going back to the village, which must be in chaos. He wants to send out search teams to make sure there aren't any more one-finned demons on the loose. The lady also agrees not to stress over this unprecedented situation, since no one saw it coming. She wants Yi Tang to stay calm, even though she knows it's hard for him. Yi Tang stands up and says he'll keep searching for the four warriors on his own, telling them not to worry. Joel tries to object, but the lady cuts him off, telling the commander to return before sunset. He agrees and heads into the mist. She is sure he won't change his mind. Joel remembers how the demons took the commander's younger brother years ago, and he still blames himself. Tada Yoshioku points out that if Yi Tang's brother were alive now, he'd be the same age as the four captured children. Maybe these kidnapped kids remind him of his little brother. Meanwhile, in a cave, Aang and the others are tied up. Our boy wakes up confused, but relieved that everyone is breathing. The demon appears from behind and notices that Aang is the first to wake up. He notices that this boy is different from the others. He's curious why Aang has a demonic aura, maybe even stronger than the Finn demons. Our boy has no idea what that jerk is talking about. Suddenly, Aang's body starts glowing red and he breaks the ropes. He lunges at the demon, but the demon dodges him. He thinks that in his past life, he would have ripped his head off before he could even move. He knows he has to save the others. He notices that the Finn demon has a red core that boosts its speed and flexibility, letting it move and attack faster. But that also leaves its joints unprotected, which is both an advantage and a weakness. The demon raises its hand toward Aang and says it's useless to resist. It strikes him with its hands, and Aang realizes he needs to attack its joints, its weak spot. He pushes back hard, refusing to be seen as weak. He shouts that he killed plenty of Finn demons. The demon lands a fierce kick that makes him stagger and leaves him bleeding. Being a wood-type demon, it can regenerate, and this bastard is really proud of its abilities. Aang always thought only green core demons have that power, and he wonders if things have changed in the last 50 years. The demon accuses him of underestimating it, then sends roots that pierce our boy's body and drag him, grabbing him by the head. It says he still doesn't understand who it is. Aang feels the roots stabbing into his organs, almost making it impossible for him to breathe. He just got reborn and he's already on the verge of dying again. Worried about the other three, he feels the same desperation as before and fears that they'll all die with him. Aang is filled with regret and sadness, cursing his own weakness for dragging them into this. Noticing his condition, the one-fin demon decides to eat him in order to evolve. Just as it gets closer, a voice inside our boy questions whether the demon plans to devour him. This inner demon complains that if Aang dies, its plan will fail, and it's annoyed to have to use up its last bit of energy now. Suddenly, the one-fin demon senses a terrifying power coming from our boy. A demonic form emerges, and the one-fin demon assumes it might be a 5 or 6 fin demon, but the aura is much stronger, and shockwaves shoot up into the sky. An 8-fin demon bursts onto the scene, causing the 1-fin demon to panic. The newcomer announces himself as the strongest red core demon and the king of the finned demons. The 1-fin demon, trembling, calls him the Crimson King. Meanwhile, Yi Yao Tang keeps searching and fighting demons. Then she stops, realizing she's checked everywhere nearby but has only seen 2 without fins. She thinks the 4 candidates aren't here and vows to keep searching until nightfall. Then she senses a powerful energy in the distance, wondering if it has something to do with the candidates. Aang is surprised to find himself in such a dark place, with no sunlight. He demands that the final demon tell him if he disappeared, and if the other 5 are still Fin Kings. The final demon says that nothing has changed. Aang replies that the demons have been living peacefully. He remembers what happened 60 years ago and gets angry, asking if they forgot what they did to him. He attacks the final demon, upset because the body of the strongest warrior he chose became weakened after traveling through time. He feels disappointed to have wasted his last bit of power on something so insignificant. If he wants to show himself again, he has to wait until he's fully awake. The strongest warrior must slowly recover all his memories. The final demon explains that the fin memory Aang is talking about is tied to his growth. Aang points out that the bumps on their knees and how many fins they have show their level. When more fins grow, they need the fin memory, something only their species possesses. That's why they're always stronger than other races, and the warrior body Aang is using now is just like his. However, they can only level up by devouring demons of the same rank. Aang, on the other hand, has to consume demons of a higher rank than his own to unlock hidden memories and evolve. The bastard, who was once arrogant, is now a whiner who promises to help the 8-fin demon and do everything for him. The 8-fin demon ends up killing the bastard, since he isn't worthy, and his only purpose now is to serve as food and help Aang awaken his fin memories. This is the first step in Aang's quest to become stronger. This Dark Lord wants our boy to slowly reach 8 fins. When that happens, the 8-fin demon will awaken from his deep slumber. Afterwards, the bastard goes back inside our boy, while Aang is trapped in the brutal memories of the past, when he and his companions were seriously wounded. His companion wished for His Majesty Aang to live, because that woman is waiting for him. When the dream suddenly turns into a nightmare, he opens his eyes in the present and wonders if he was dreaming. He realizes these are memories from a long time ago and feels very afraid. Just then, his friends come in, happy that he's awake, and he's surprised to see them. Suiyu notices that our boy's hair looks different and asks if it was caused by the demon gate. Aang feels confused, since he has no idea what she's talking about. Then he checks if everyone's okay, remembering that they were dragged underground by the final demon. Yi Yao Tang and the other 2 commanders come in and want our boy to share what happened down there. Aang asks why all the elders decided to visit him. Then Yoshioku tells him that our brute commander brought them back. She calls him Tang Tang once again, which is honestly pretty embarrassing. Joel further explains that our brute commander found all 4 of them passed out in a cave. Luckily, the fin demon was nowhere to be seen. Otherwise, bringing them all back would have been difficult. Then Yoshioku says that after a while, the other 3 woke up, but they didn't remember anything that happened in the cave. Aang was the only one who remained unconscious, and his body went through some changes. She gives him a mirror so he can see his changed hair, and then asks if he remembers anything that happened underground. Aang looks at his new appearance and wonders what happened. He still can't make sense of everything that happened after traveling through time. He remembers passing out after being hit in the cave, but doesn't know anything else. He thinks about telling them about the time travel, but decides not to. No one would believe him and they'd think he's crazy, so he plans to stick with his current identity and figure out what's going on. Aang admits that he woke up for a moment and saw that they were in an underground cave, but then he passed out again. This makes Yi Yao Tong wonder about the blood splatters she saw and who caused them. Joel looks at our guy and remembers that Aang is the name of the most powerful warrior. Even though our guy fights well, he's still lacking in some areas. Then he asks if Aang has fought against demons. Our guy says no, that he's interested in demon combat and has studied it, but he's never had any real battle experience. Since Aang is well informed, the older woman suggests to our tough commander not to give up on training him properly. Aang asks what happened with his warrior test. Su Hui says they passed and are now on the STLK team. Lan adds that due to recent events, Jiatong put them together as a group of 4. Lu chimes in, saying they're behind compared to the others. Jiatong explains that they need to do missions to earn points, and since Aang was unconscious for 3 days, they don't have any points. Aang is surprised that he was unconscious for so long. The next day, the 4 of them are in the village wearing their new uniforms. People are talking about the new warriors who arrived 3 days ago. Jiatong shows up, congratulates them on becoming warriors, and praises them for surviving an encounter with the Fin Demon. He says he'll be leading their squad, one of 9 under his command, and hopes they'll do well against the others. Aang thinks the rules are tougher than before. Lan asks if Aang has never heard of the squad ranking system. It seems like Aang is a rookie and doesn't know much. And now they're at the bottom. Jiao explains how the ranking board works, and adds that the squads at the bottom get monthly punishments, like cleaning until the next rankings. Aang realizes that might explain why the village is so tidy. Jiatang appoints Liu as the group leader, and no one objects except our guy. He doesn't express any desire to be the leader, and lets Liu enjoy his new job. Jiao instructs them to pick missions from the board, and get used to using their nano wings in fights. He says they can talk to him if they have any problems. When Jiatong leaves, Lu suggests checking out the missions because they have a lot to catch up on, but the photographer says there's something more important. They need a group photo, so they quickly take one. Later, Jiatong asks his teammates what they think about everything. Teidi Yoshioku says that, as our brute commander had noticed, there were no fin demons left in the cave. They all seem to have died in an explosion, leaving blood everywhere. That's why our brute commander suspects the 4 candidates did it, and admits he feels uneasy about Aang. He notices something familiar about his scent. Teidi Yoshioku tells him not to worry so much, and says he's glad the 4 of them made it back safely. She also wants him to train them well, so they don't lose against her team. Jiatong's very serious about suspecting Aang, so Joel suggests keeping an eye on the boy. Meanwhile, at the board, Aang is happy to see that all the missions are A-level. Each one is worth 10 points. Lan says that A-level missions are the highest level, while Suju adds that they might also be the hardest. The boy explains that B-level missions give 6 points and C-level missions give 3. These lower-level missions are simpler and safer, but A-level missions are deadly and people often die. Lu looks at the 3 missions and, together with Aang, suggests taking them all. When their quest begins, the 4 of them start running, and Aang activates his core. His nano wings appear, but one wing gets caught on a rock. Focusing on the energy from his nano wings, he manages to form a sword in his hand. He thinks about how much nanotechnology has advanced in 60 years. They hide behind a rock. Lu says they're ready and explains the objective. 2 finless demons, both must be taken down at the same time. He reminds them to stick to the plan and wait for his signal. When the signal comes, they charge in. Lu points out that they have 3 level A missions. They can't waste any time. The fight needs to end quickly. Lan moves first to block the demon's line of sight, keeping him from seeing the others. Lu repeats the point then. She, Aang, and Suju will keep the demons from moving. After attacking, Aang wonders how the demons will fight with a joint cut. Meanwhile, the youngest in the group strikes both demons in mid-air, and Lu follows up with a quick finishing move. The timing's perfect. Sujiu notices that the mist is gone and the insertion is stable. Lan's glad she managed to disperse the mist. Dispersing it here is harder than during the exams, but that's to be expected from an A-level mission. Even a single mission has taken them a while. The photographer girl finds a red demon core and smiles. The tsundere girl is also happy that they finally got the 10 points. Aang, on the other hand, is surprised to learn that the cores break when a mission is completed. Suju explains that the technology is for demon combat, and a chip in the mission form sends points to the city's leaderboard once the job is done. After clearing the fog outside the city, she asks Aang if she can check the other 2 cores. She checks them and sighs. After that, they spent the whole afternoon fighting finless demons, but only got 3 cores. They still need 7 more. Catching demons alive is much harder. Lam points out how easy they've had it so far. Lu suggests the next step, finish the other missions, and keep taking A-level ones to reach the top. Sujiu takes a picture of Lu. Why not? Meanwhile, Lan hopes to take first place, so the other squads don't think they're weak. Aang suggests the same thing, and since the other squads are also earning points, they need to move fast to stay ahead. Those who act first succeed, and those who hesitate get nothing. Even though he's over 50 and has lived 2 lives, he feels energized with them. Their drive makes him feel young again. He suggests one more mission before sunset, and Sujiyu and Lan agree. Lu notices that Aang is starting to take charge. Lan has already taken down a few more demons and says they have 3 left. Lu reminds him that they're almost out of tranquilizers for finless demons, and each squad only has a limited supply. While Lu checks her weapon, Aang takes a closer look at it. She explains that it's a nanotech tranquilizer gun designed to capture demons alive. Aang remembers that in the past, catching demons meant knocking them out. They were always complaining about brain damage. Lan says they're lucky to have caught them, especially since they ran out of tranquilizers. They finished the mission after defeating an entire group to capture 3 alive, more than 10 demons in total. Suyu stretches and reminds them that the warriors have to return before sunset or they'll be punished. Aang wonders if he even has a place to go back to in this era. Lu says she has to leave too. All that's left is to set up the GPS so the investigators can find the place. Once the demons are collected, the mission will be complete. Aang asks if anyone else can feel the strong killing intent. At that moment, red lightning shoots out from behind, killing the demons. A masked boy appears and says he won't let them finish the mission. His squad is supposed to handle A-level missions, and he demands to know who allowed Lu's squad to take them. Aang wonders who they are. They seem like bad news. The guild leader reveals that they're from the Black Weapon Squad, the veterans. He asks a girl on his team how many squads joined in, and she replies that there are 3. The leader scolds Aang and his team for not greeting their superiors. The 4 members of the Black Weapon Squad land and accuse Lu's team of taking A-level missions without permission. They think they're being disrespected. The photographer is angry because they killed the demons that was so hard for him to capture. The guy from the Black Weapon Squad asks who's leading Lu's group and why they aren't greeting him. Liu lunges to kick him, but he dodges and asks how Liu dares to attack his superiors. Lu expresses his disdain for these so-called superiors. Lan and Suiyu step in to calm them down. The photographer says the Black Weapon Squad is being unreasonable and wants to know how they could kill the demons her team captured. The guy just shrugs, saying it's part of the competition and calls him naive. This only fuels Lu's anger. Her teammates try to hold her back and ask Aang to step in and settle things. Instead, Aang runs over, kicks the cocky guy, and rips off his mask. He says he's never heard anything so shameless and asks if they have any idea how hard it was to capture those demons. His friends are shocked, but Lu, as expected, looks pleased. The now unmasked guy tells Aang to get ready to fight. Lu wants to fight too. Just then, Yi Yao Tong shows up and stops him, pulling him apart. The commander, annoyed, reminds him that the sun is setting and tells him not to stir up any more demons. But the guy says that his team was attacked by Aang. Suiyu showed photos of the Black Weapon Squad killing the demons that Lu's team had captured. Lan asks when Suiyu took those photos. Yi Yao Tong reminds Lu's team that they shouldn't have taken on an A-rank mission. Lu says they were about to finish it until the Black Weapon Squad got in their way. The commander downplays the issue, saying that the Black Weapon Squad had similar problems when they were new, so he won't do anything about it. Each squad has to deal with these problems. What matters is earning points in kata. You're not allowed to harm or endanger other warriors, but everything else, like ruining someone else's mission, can happen. He reminds them that these rules are the same for everyone, and that they'll see even worse things. He only stepped in because it was almost night, so he told him to return to the village. He scolds the Black Weapon Squad because it's embarrassing that a team of rookies beat him. As he's leaving, the boy asks Aang's name, and Aang gives it to him. Feeling uneasy, he turns to his teammates, remembering how Aang's name matches that of the most powerful warrior. He swears he won't let Aang and his squad earn easy points. He also wants Aang to pay for the cut on his face and the humiliation. Then he puts on his mask and leaves with his squad. The Black Gun Squad isn't the best, but they act fast and could ruin Lu's group again. Their leader uses a gun, and even though he didn't show it, Yi Yao Tang admits the guy is strong for a rookie. A real fight could go either way. Then he orders the team to head back to the village. Lu looks at our guy and asks why he was so reckless. He thanks him for the kick. Lan invites his friend to dinner, but Aang turns him down. The muscular guy wonders if our boy has a secret plan. Aang admits that he does plan to go after 3 more demons today. Later, the loudspeakers warn everyone not to leave the tower for safety reasons. Ong thinks he only heard the announcement and didn't see anyone. With the village on lockdown, there's not much to do, so he plans to check out his house after finishing his secret mission. The security at the main gate is pretty lax. There's only one guard. He figures they're short-staffed or just don't expect anyone to go out at night. There's a gap in the door he can slip through, so he gets ready to head out. Just then, Lou shows up. She already knew he was going to do this. Excited, she reminds him that she figured it out when he hinted he'd be sneaking out at night. For once, her sharp perception and attention to detail make our boy a little uneasy. She asks him why he's leaving so late and if he has a special place to go. He jokes that he ate too much and wants to walk it off. He hopes to surprise everyone in the morning and make up for what the masked man ruined. Now that she's found him, his plan might be in trouble. As they walk through the village, Lou catches up to him and asks about his plan. She can barely wait to see the masked man's confused face tomorrow. Aang notices her giggling and points it out, but she denies it, even though she's clearly amused. High up on the gate, two guards yawn. One complains that night watch is awful and just wants to close the gate since no one should be leaving. The other, who's eaten, warns him not to say that, or the third captain might hear. He explains that the gap stays open for emergencies. Years ago, refugees were attacked by demons because the gate took too long to open. Now every village leaves a gap just in case. The first guard apologizes. The second tells him not to worry, that they'll get used to their exhausting job. Then he pulls out an adult photo book. The first guard notices new photos of warrior women from other villages, which isn't surprising since it cost a fortune. While both perverts are distracted, our duo slips away from the gate. Aang notices that the old exam field is covered by a thicker fog. They move to another spot where Lu says they're less likely to be noticed, far from the walls and with a rotting forest for cover. A guy explains the plan to her. He'll lure the demons and she'll aim for their heads. They'll rely on sheer strength to knock them out. He heads into the fog and tells her to wait for him. Liu trusts Aang, but she feels uneasy as he disappears into the thick fog. She doesn't know if she's excited or worried, but she focuses and stays ready. Liu was impressed by how well Aang lures the demons. He only draws out one finless demon at a time, which makes it easier to catch them. For her, this brute force approach is new and fun. She learns quickly and does it well. When Aang signals her, she moves in, and together they handle the demon with light, precise blows, almost like they're playing. They keep going until it passes out, which reminds her of her old methods. Exhausted, Aang thinks about the training he needs in this new body, even though he used to catch finless demons easily before. Liu reminds him that this makes 3 demons already, and that she's worn out. He tells her to leave him there. The girl hesitates and asks if he's sure. Aang is confident in his decision, since finless demons aren't smart enough to rescue each other and won't go to the village. A blow to the head keeps them unconscious for a while. That way, they'll be out until morning. The girl is impressed by how much he knows. Her response makes Aang realize he said too much. Suddenly, 2 one-finned demons appear, sniffing out the humans. Aang is worried that 2 showed up at once. He knows that he and Liu aren't ready for that fight. An alarm sounds in the village. The 3 adults run to the top of the gate. Zhou tells the guards that they saw one-finned demons and to use the spotlights. Tada Yoshioku asks if they're the same demons from the exam. Yi Yao Teng confirms that they're not the same ones. The guards see the 2 one-finned demons, and Zhou wonders if something is attracting them. He tells everyone to stay calm, close the gates, and get the cannons ready, but Yi Yao Teng shouts not to close them. Someone's still outside! He's furious when he sees our duo outside and demands to know why they went out so late. The eldest wants to know what the kids are doing outside at this hour. They see 3 finless demons tied up, which makes Yi Yao Tang realize they came to make up for the failed mission. Joel isn't surprised. It's a typical mistake for new warriors acting boldly. Even so, Yi Yao Tang gets angry and decides to punish them both when they get back. He charges at the demons, and Tadayoshi Yoko tells his partner that he'll follow Yi Yao Tang, leaving the rest to him. Joel sighs. His night of drinking is ruined. Meanwhile, when the one-finned demons see the warriors, Aang tells the girl to wait. He wants them to wait for reinforcements and see if he's the real target. He wonders if it's the same thing that happened before, connected to his reincarnation or that strange event in the tunnel. Lu suggests they fight together. A demon asks if they'll be able to hold out, then focuses on Lu and calls her useless. In an instant, that bastard lunges forward. Aang pushes the girl, saving her, and the demon comments on his reflexes. Lu kicks the demon and notices water, wondering if she missed. The second demon traps her with 3 strands. The first demon warns Aang to stay alert. Suddenly, Yi Yao Tang arrives and strikes a demon. He swears he won't let them hurt the kids and asks everyone to stay calm. Tadayo Shuku sees that one demon has a blue core, water type, and the other has a red core, earth type, so he decides to rescue Liu. The earth demon thanks the gods for blocking the blow, or else he would have lost his ugly head. Joel thinks they're at a stalemate and asks to pause the cannon fire. A girl reports that a large number of finless demons are coming. Joe asks how many, and she reports a horde. With so many demons approaching, Joel orders the alarm to be sounded and tells the warriors to take their positions. As the alarm blares, everyone heads up to the wall. Seeing the horde, Yi Yao Tang knows these bastards came prepared. Aang notices that the demons are heading straight for the village, and Tadayoshi Oku says the two one-fin demons must have called him. Meanwhile, Lu shouts for them not to worry about her and to protect the village. She blames herself for being careless and feels like a bad leader. Suddenly, a demon covers her mouth so she can't speak. Yi Yao Tang and the others fall back as the second demon attacks them. The brute commander warns Tadayoshi Oku to be careful, and she breaks some spikes that are thrown at him. Aang notices that the demons aren't attacking him. As he passes by a one-fin demon, it tells him to keep going. Yi Yao Tang sees that the demon let Aang pass and wonders why. The demon lunges again, warning that if they're not careful, they'll die. Meanwhile, another demon drags Lu away. Aang suspects it's a trick to separate him from the captains. He tries to calm himself, knowing he's not strong enough to go in blindly. The elders shout at him not to go after Lu, that he doesn't stand a chance against a one-fin demon, but Aang can't forget how familiar her eyes seem, and can't leave her behind. Ignoring their warnings, he runs to save her. The demon puts Lu down on the ground and talks about how interesting humans are. He's heard that they scream when they lose hope, and demands that she beg for mercy to satisfy his curiosity. The demon notices Lu's mouth is covered, which is why she isn't screaming. He removes the cover and tells her to beg, but Lu refuses. After all, a lowly one-fin demon doesn't deserve her plea. The demon asks why she doesn't think he's worthy, and Lu replies that she comes from a martial family. She won't kneel before an enemy. Showing weakness is shameful. She demands either death or a fair fight. Annoyed by her words, the demon strikes her and gives her a death ultimatum. Just then, Aang shows up and tells the demon to let Liu go. The girl is surprised to see him alone and asks why he's by himself. The demon, on the other hand, is pleased that his plan worked and that our boy, the real target, has arrived. Hearing this, the girl wonders why Aang is the target. He asks if she's okay, to which she replies yes, but asks why he's here alone. She warns him that he can't take on a one-fin demon and that he should run away. The demon hits Lu again, telling her to shut up. Aang begs him not to hurt her and says to take him instead if he leaves her alone. The demon ignores him and attacks, saying that everyone will die. Aang tries to fight back, but the demon dodges and counterattacks. He notices that his body isn't reactive fast enough. The demon notices that Aang smells like a demon and wonders why. Aang is surprised to realize that this demon might be a water type. He wonders how demons have changed in 50 years, acquiring so many traits. His weak body only copies old moves, so he can't fight much. Lu worries that Aang will die at this rate and curses him for coming alone. He decides he can't just stand by and do nothing. Aang attacks, but the demon mocks him, saying he already killed a fin demon in the cave. He wonders why he's so weak now. Aang doesn't know what the demon is talking about and doesn't remember killing a fin demon. He doesn't like Aang's tone and wants to punish him. He does something painful to Aang and warns him that if he lies, he'll die. Then he attacks him, throwing him against some trees. The poor guy feels a sharp pain and fears his organs might be damaged. Lu sees he's in trouble and decides to help. The demon comes closer and threatens to eat him if he doesn't give up the information. He wants to evolve by devouring our boy. When he gets close to Aang, the girl bursts in and kicks the demon, warning him to leave her companion alone. Aang notices she broke free by force. His wrists and ankles are burning. The girl stands up to the demon and challenges him. If he wants to kill someone, he should kill her. As the leader of the group, she'll defend her companions to the death. The demon agrees and tells her not to dodge. Then he launches attacks at our boy from different angles, and she blocks them without moving. Aang yells at her to move, but she refuses. She doesn't want him to get hurt. She tells him to shut up and let her concentrate. Suddenly, spikes shoot up from the ground and pierce her feet. The demon grabs her and says he won't kill her right away. Instead, he'll humiliate her and eventually make her scream. Aang lies on the ground trying to rescue his friend, but he feels powerless. He thinks it's unfair that, even after reincarnating, he still has to watch a friend die again. He hates being the one who needs to be saved, and wonders how he can protect anyone if he can't protect himself, why he has to lose his friends again, and why he feels so weak. Suddenly, he releases a huge aura that frees Lu from the demon's grip. Seeing our guy move so fast, the demon is shocked. Aang, meanwhile, feels proud of Lu, since he did well as a squad leader for the first time. From now on, he'll take care of everything. Then he gently sets her down. Suddenly, the demon picks up a familiar scent from Aang and thinks there's a secret behind him. Aang himself feels a powerful energy growing in his chest, as if it's about to explode. In a burst of rage, his core shines with a blinding light. The demon wonders if it's a real Fen core. Lu sees lightning coming from our guy and barely notices him facing off against that monster. It looks like our guy has awakened his own Fen. Meanwhile, the elders are fighting another demon. That demon senses a strong aura like its own, and Jiao Tong hits it, then Tadayo Shiku kicks it, leaving a huge hole in his body. Angry, the demon starts to glow, ready to self-destruct in midair. The woman senses that it's about to self-destruct and asks Jiao Tong what he plans to do. The demon screams that all humans will die, but right at that moment, a spear-like shot from the defense artillery blasts it away. Fortunately, it was the defense artillery that took down the monster before it could explode. Joel, fighting against countless finless demons, sees the horde approaching and warns the other two elders about the imminent threat. Tada Yoshioko tells our brutal commander that they need to return to the city. Jiao Tang is worried about our boy and Lu, but Tadada Yoshoku doesn't want to abandon the battlefield, reminding him that they have duties as warriors, not just as captains. So, after making this tough decision, they hurry back to protect the city. Elsewhere, the one-fin demon asks why Aang looks so much like them, but also seems human. He's confused by our boy's human fins, which should be impossible. Aang wonders if his reincarnation gave him demonic powers. Then he uses a healing power on Lu. Seeing him heal her so effortlessly, the demon is amazed and asks if he's a wood type. This healing power is because he absorbed a one-finned wood type demon. If he defeats and absorbs a one-finned water type demon, he could gain water powers. The demon is stunned by Aang's strength, something never seen before. Aang makes roots appear and says he wants his power. The demon panics when he realizes that Aang absorbed a wood type demon. Seeing this idiot scared, our guy feels great satisfaction, since he had never seen a demon afraid before. He approaches and tells him to use all his strength so he can gauge his power. The demon wants to know if our guy is human or demon. As he says this, the bastard charges at her. Since he possesses the abilities of wood-type demons, he summons vine tentacles that trap the demon. The demon, in pain, uses his hidden attack. He lashes his water whips at Aang, but Aang dodges him. The demon lunges again, saying he will show no mercy. While fighting, he boasts that Aang will never understand true demonic power. He gives him a hard kick, sending our boy crashing into the trees. Aang admits he doesn't understand strength, but if the demon knew how fast he learns, he'd see that Aang is the strongest warrior. He knows he has to adapt to win. The demon is surprised by his wood-type healing, and Aang picks up on it. He attacks again, trapping the demon in his roots, then grabs his face and says he's tired of this fight. The demon feels some strange before his body explodes, leaving only his face and a water crystal behind. He claims he can dissolve his body and survive, but Aang points out that his core can't escape. An overconfident demon is doomed if his core disappears. He pulls out the demon's water core and reminds this insignificant creature that even a seven-fin demon dies if its core is destroyed. With that, our guy crushes the water core and drinks it to absorb its power. After drinking it, the demonic essence doesn't taste bad. The demon inside him urges him to devour more demons and kill humans. While he tries to resist, he even attacks Lu's shield to devour her. But the real Aang can't hurt his companion, so he tells the demon to stop. He wants to save Lu, not kill her. At the main gate, the warriors are fighting finless demons. Lan notices that our duo's missing. Sua Yu says he heard rumors that two warriors ran off and were attacked by a one-fin demon. Lan is shocked, thinking it could be our duo, but Su Yu tells him there's no time to confirm it, and they have to keep fighting the horde. The two elders also arrive and join the battle. Joel asks about their cores, and the captain says they're fine. In the middle of the fight, Joel happily reports that after taking down a one-fin demon, the regular demons are less coordinated, acting like scared animals. He wants to use that to scare him off and buy some time. The other two elders agree. They jump down from a high place and unleash a huge blast with their cores. Tadada Yoshioku remembers that this is the second time they've pushed their cores this far, and Yi Yao Tang wishes his fire core had more endurance to maintain that power. Joe comments on how dangerous the explosive red core can be, then charges in, slashing at demons. From above, Sugi watches in awe at how powerful a captain's attack is. Lon thinks this must be the power of a fin core, and dreams of reaching that strength. After a while, Joel checks on the other two seniors, and they say they're fine. His plan works. The demons fall back. Suddenly, Joel senses something unusual and points out a figure approaching. It's Aang, carrying the team leader. Tadai Yoshioku wonders where the fin demon went. Joel looks at him and sees that he's worried. Even though they broke the morale of the finless demon, Aang shouldn't be so casual. They could devour him alive in an instant. Speak of the devil, the demons attack Aang, and the three captains jump in to help. The demon notices him and gives him a terrifying glare, making him back off. The demons flee, and the warriors cheer as the horde retreats. Some ask why they ran away, assuming the captains scared them off. Others think they panicked after seeing such a display of power. Everyone praises their captains for being brave and strong, though Yi Yao Tang doubts it was just their doing. He suspects our boy has something to do with it. As Aang returns to normal, he notices the captains heading toward him. In his mind, he dreams of the 8-fin demon who boasts that Aang relied on his powers. When the boy asks, the demon says they met more than 50 years ago, so Aang might not remember. Our boy realizes he's one of them and asks how many there are. The demon assures him that his questions will be answered. The creature appears before Aang and introduces himself as the Crimson Fin King, the strongest of his kind. He knows that our boy isn't afraid of him, which makes sense for the most powerful warrior, and praises his willpower for resisting his control. The Crimson King promises not to hurt him. Our boy asks why the demon chose his body and what happened to the previous one. Another 8-fin demon appears behind Aang and touches his face, saying that he'll understand soon enough. He explains that Aang's body is tied to the Crimson Power, and for the good of both of them, the boy needs to work hard and level up. Over time, both of them will get closer to perfection. Aang gets angry. He doesn't like that the demons see humans as inferior. He stands up and punches the demon. In reality, Aang wakes up from the dream and lunges, grabbing Lu by the shirt to hit her. He snaps out of it when he sees his stats. Of course, Lu slaps him and the others hold him back, asking why he acted like that. At that moment, Lu's father, Yengong, arrives and tells them not to treat their savior like an enemy. The others greet him as master, and Lu calls him father. Joel explains to our guy that Yun Gong is the head of the martial C2 family. He's surprised that Aang doesn't recognize him, since he's also from Helios. Everything is starting to make sense to our guy. Since he's the father of their leader, this man looks after him for saving his daughter, so he apologizes to Yun Gong for causing trouble. The chief thanks our guy for saving his daughter on behalf of the Situ family. He tells the three captains that they could stay in the training area for a while, and that there will be a celebration that night for the victory over the Horde. The captains apologize, but Yun Gong laughs, saying he's watched them grow up, and that this place is their home. He notes that Lu is stubborn, so they need to keep her in check without mercy. The captain agrees to take care of everything and dismisses everyone except Aang and the three captains. Once they're alone, Yi Yao Tang becomes suspicious of our guy and wants him to tell everything about the one-fin demon from the exam and the recent demon horde. The other elders are also looking for the same answers. Even though Aang isn't part of their squad, he can't afford any doubts and wants the young man to spill it. Aang asks if they're serious, reminding them that he and Lu barely escaped from the one-fin demon. Joel points out that the other two elders had to team up to defeat a demon. So how'd this kid manage to beat it on his own? He then demands to know how Aang managed to escape. Joe suggests that the kid might be working with the demons, which would explain why they always let him get away. Aang wonders if he should reveal his secret and risk getting killed. He's afraid they won't believe he's human and will see him as a threat because of the demonic power inside him. Joe's seriousness shows that he wants the truth and won't settle for anything less. He's ready to confront our boy. Seeing this, Aang starts to think he's going to have to fight, but Tadayo Shioku interrupts and silences her fellow captain. She says that only a four-fin demon could take human form, and it's unlikely that Aang is one of them. Besides, there's no reason for a demon like that to come to a coastal village. The brute captain adds that demons are selfish and wouldn't rescue anyone. Since Aang saved Liu, Yao Tong is sure that this boy can't be a demon. Zhou pats the young man on the back and plays off his aggression as a joke. He acknowledges that Aang and Liu almost died and must be exhausted. In her report, Liu recalls fainting after fighting the Fin Demon and not remembering anything. So the superior asks how Aang got her out. The woman also asks if Aang defeated the Fin Demon by himself. In his mind, our boy remembers that he did beat it and never thought about how to hide it. He simply says he's a genius with a unique ability. He explains that he can boost and expand the strength of his core for a short time, going beyond his normal power. That's his hidden card. Tadayo Shioku says that Aang's description sounds like the method they use to channel the explosive force of their core. Our boy plays along, though he's not sure if they'll believe the rest. Zhou wonders if he's telling the truth. Yao Tong reminds him about the incident in the cave, asking if Aang is suggesting he used the same trick to defeat the cave demon too. Our boy confirms it. He says he came up with the technique after meeting his Fin Demon. His body absorbs the core's strength instantly, so he crushed the demon when it let his guard down. It was his first time, that's why he passed out. He tried the same thing to rescue Liu, but he fainted again because his body couldn't handle the strain. Surprisingly, the brute commander considers Aang's story. It also explains why his core was damaged both times. The power exceeded his limit. Tadayo Shioku agrees that if everything Aang says is true, it makes sense that he has trouble handling it. He points out that their technique is similar, but they've trained to reduce the cost when using explosive power. Since Aang can't control it, he warns him not to try it again until he learns how to manage it. Yao Tang shares the same thoughts, although he wants a fight with our boy to gauge his potential. Finally, they move to an open space, and Aang gets ready to face his commander. You can tell that his captain still doesn't trust him. Yao Tong, ready, gives Aang the chance to attack first. The boy gets ready, wondering how to fight against him. You see, our boy's current power is basic compared to his past abilities. His body can't handle an all-out fight, and he debates whether to use his demonic power. Suddenly, Yao Tang moves forward and attacks, but our boy dodges, even though the impact destroys part of the area. Tadayo Shioku yells at the brute commander to tone it down. The man admires his student's reaction time, which is really good. Aang realizes he's relying on his old experience and is already close to his limit. Yao Tong attacks again, forcing our boy to dodge. Once again, Yao Tang destroys large sections of the training field like it's his own backyard. Then the captain grabs Aang by the neck and asks if that's all he's got. Aang feels like he can't break free and gets thrown against the wall. Zhou sees that the captain is going too far and suggests stopping him, but Tadayo Shioku thinks he wouldn't hurt anyone without a reason. The brute mocks his student, asking if he really deserves to be called a genius. Aang can't stand being looked down on. He remembers that the warriors used to call him king, and thinks that if Yao Tang knew who he really was, he'd treat him differently. Since Aang claims to be a genius, he has to prove it. He decides not to hold back and uses the demon's power. He unleashes his aura, surprising Tadayo Shioku. He challenges his superior. Now it's his turn to attack. The brute captain feels the enormous aura coming from his small student. Aang believes that the demon's power will make his core work better. He feels that he can unlock his potential by changing his mindset. Zhou wonders if he can feel the synchronization too. The woman doubts that a village like Hilo's could have someone as talented as Aang. Yao Tang notices that Aang's synchronization has risen to 40% and is still climbing. Liu is at 39%, so our boy has surpassed her. My boy warns his superior to focus before he rushes in to hit him. Yao Tong sees that the boy is twice as fast, but my boy downplays it, saying it's just a slight improvement. Yao Tang thinks that Aang takes advantage of his slowness and uses cheap shots to confuse him. He also sees that he doesn't fight recklessly. My boy kicks the captain again. Joel, watching, notices his relentless attacks and wonders where he learned to fight so well. Just then, the big boss Shun Gong arrives, warning that it's not safe to be near Yao Tang, a tough fighter. The two superiors talk to him, apologizing for using his field to train and for the inconvenience. The big boss looks at the broken ground and wonders if the damage to the arena can really be called just an inconvenience. Both promise that they'll fix it. Shun Gong says it's fine and takes an interest in Aang, who shares the name of the most powerful warrior. He wonders how the boy will handle the captain's attacks. In the fight, the brute captain grabs him by the leg to pin him down. Shun Gong narrates how Yi Yao Tong always counterattacks with precision. Years of fighting demons sharpened his judgment, but just when they thought Aang would lose, he turns things around with quick moves and headbutts the captain, landing a solid blow. The captain doesn't get it, so Aang explains the strategy. Even though the skull is strong, the area between the eyes is softer. He attacks again, taking hits, and Yi Yao Tang is still standing. The spectators are in shock. Aang unleashes a blast that shatters the ground, showing off a technique of both attack and defense. He decides to push the demon's power even further with more force. He attacks again, forcing Yi Yao Tang to back away in fear. The brute vanishes and reappears behind him. Tadayo Shioku is amazed. Aang uses the dust to get into the captain's blind spot and turns his own move against him. The big boss comments that this guy is very vengeful and learns quickly. The brute is angry because they used his move against him and warns his opponent not to forget that it was his move and he knows it best. Shun Gong notes that the captain is losing his advantage. Aang throws a punch but misses on purpose to the brute's surprise. He wonders why he missed. My guy pointed out his superior's tendency to restrain the opponent instead of fighting head-on. Aang used this to his advantage and headbutted the captain, leaving him with blurry vision and unable to see. This gave him the perfect chance for the finishing blow, but he missed on purpose since he only wanted to test his strength. Shun Gong is already curious about Aang's abilities. The door opens and Sweet Yu comes in with her friends. She reminds them that dinner is almost ready and that Lu's family has prepared a big meal in the living room. When she looks around, she's shocked by the destruction. Aang quickly blames the captain. While Joel mocks the captain for losing, the big boss interrupts, reminding them the fight is over and inviting everyone to dinner. Aang is hungry too and thanks Shun Gong for the invitation. Shun Gong reflects on Aang's determination, power, control, and experience, concluding that he has great potential. As our guy leaves, the father jokes with his daughter, embarrassing her by pairing them up. Then, everyone gathers for dinner. Shun Gong raises his drink and speaks on behalf of the village. He thanks them for protecting everyone and honors the warriors who fought. He praises Aang for saving his daughter. My guy stands up and says there's no need to thank him, though his commander smacks him when he tries to drink alcohol, reminding him he's underage. But our guy argues that he's 18, which is why he was eligible for the warrior exam. With the lively atmosphere, the chief smiles at his daughter, still trying to pair her up with our guy. Then we move on to the final conversation between father and daughter. He believes Lu is very skilled and that Aang's talent matches his own. If the guy is as capable as a strong girl like Lu, she might like him. The girl thinks about it and decides that Aang's a bit of a fool. She stops thinking and eats while Su Yu talks. He says how good the food is and that it feels luxurious. Let's not forget that Lan is also here. She asks our guy how he defeated the Fin demon. Yotang explains that Aang drew power from his core, making him stronger for a while. Tadario Shioku adds that it's like how the captains use their core, but Aang risked a lot to get that power and save himself. Without training, it was dangerous, his body hurt, and using it again could damage him permanently. Also, Aang and Yi Yaotong's training was eye-opening. The boy's power is impressive, but he needs more training, or his body could break down. Internally, our boy knows that if he told them he absorbed the cores of 2 one-finned demons and has wood-type healing powers to recover quickly, it would be too much information. He decides to play along and keep the real information to himself. He confirms that the captains were right, that's why he passed out. It's clear he needs to train his body more. Lan is surprised by Aang's abilities and says how amazing he is, hoping she won't fall behind. Lu is also astonished by his abilities, and now understands how he was able to save her. The tough commander reveals that they were gonna punish Aang and Lu for ruining the mission, but since they defeated a one-finned demon, they let it slide. He warns them not to act like that again. Joel also reminds them that there's no time to relax because the squad competition is still going on. Speaking of which, Tadayo Shioku points out that Lu's squad is in last place and needs to step up their game starting tomorrow. Well, my boy is sure that his squad will be on top. A month later, the squad competition is in its final and most intense phase. To earn more points, the squads take on level missions, which are tough. Lu talks to his squad and decides they'll go after a fattened sheep to score a lot of points and challenge the other groups. The leader of the Black Gun Squad mocks our tsundere girl for challenging them, reminding her of the kick she took. Lu can't stand his nonsense and challenges him to a 10-point duel. The bastards are more than willing to accept. They're ready to settle the score with our squad. In the village arena, everyone hears about the duel. The leader of Black Gun reminds them that the audience is growing and it's not too late to back out. He warns that if Black Gun bullies Lu's team, it'll look bad for him. My guy thinks the outcome is uncertain and it's better to settle it with fists. Luckily, the vice leader of the opposing team is a girl who can take on our squad and Lu, or at least that's what those bastards think. My guy tells him not to underestimate Lu just because she's a girl, since she's not average. The photographer starts snapping pictures, capturing every move Lu is about to show in the fight. Lu tells her opponent to finish quickly, get the 10 points. The vice leader already knows that Lee was from the C2 family and is hoping she'll show something interesting. Lu charges into attack, but the girl blocks her punch. She wonders how Lu, with a green core, can move as fast as someone with a blue agility core. Lu disarms the girl and says that even though veteran teams have more experience in tactics, their individual skills aren't enough. Team fighting works, but so do individual skills. Our girl's punch is painful, and the opponent realizes that Lu injected power into her muscles, causing them to spasm. Seeing her defenseless, Lu attacks her several times. The leader of the scoundrel team is devastated to see his team lose. Lu knocks her down and reminds her that the Situ family are experts in physical moves. The crowd praises her performance while the opponent is in disbelief. After losing 10 points, he challenges them to a 20-point match. Our girl accepts, excited about the 20 points, but this time my guy takes over while she rests. The creepy guy tells Aang that he's no good and wants to go after Lu. My guy reminds this scoundrel that since Lu is the leader, he has to beat him first to be worthy of challenging her. The man doesn't seem sure about facing Aang, but he doesn't care. He threatens to hit our guy so hard that even his mother won't recognize him. Aang's teammates are shocked. Suigo gets ready for a fozo. Aang and the guy take their positions on the battlefield. The man pulls out his weapon and shows that he switched to training bullets. He assures our guy that they'll hurt, but they won't injure him. There's something new for him. Warriors in the past used real bullets. He mocks his opponent so he won't mess. A member of Black Gun says that's rookie stuff and that their leader has great aim, embarrassing Aang. The leader of Black Gun warns Aang that being overconfident could get him killed, so he lets him choose any weapon he wants. He doesn't want Aang accusing him of bullying. Our guy remembers the unique weapon he owned in the past. Since he doesn't have it, he decides to fight with his fists and asks his opponent if that's okay. That cocky brat is shocked, and his buddies wonder what Aang is planning. The bastard laughs and asks if Aang really wants to fight without a weapon. He thinks all rookies are full of themselves. He accepts our guy's demands, reminding Aang that even if a lion hunts a rabbit, it won't hold back. He promises to show no mercy and get his points back. Our guy now has the perfect chance to train the demon inside him and use his strength. The battle continues. He dodges the bullet and charges at the man. The guy calls him an idiot for attacking and shows him a guided missile. He fires a bunch of bullets, and Aang realizes that these high-speed ones are hard to dodge, even for agile demons. He's glad he picked this opponent, since it lets him test his skills. He uses his water abilities to attack. People watch as Aang dodges the bullets smoothly, like water. After dodging his attacks, the bastard threatens our guy with his trump card. A member of the Black Gun Squad thinks their leader's weapon is great for storing power and adding energy to the bullets for stronger shots. As Aang gets closer to the weapon, the man challenges him to see how he'll dodge explosive bullets at point-blank range. But our guy strikes the weapon, sending the shot into the air. Then, he hits the opponent's hand to take control of the weapon. With the next kick, he knocks the bastard down. Then, he puts his foot on the weapon and claims victory, earning 20 points. The defeated opponent trembles and says it's impossible. Lan and Mina praise our guy for his performance. Lu, not having seen clearly what happened, wonders where Aang learned these skills. The squad earns 30 points from their fight with the Black Gun Squad, and draws attention. Soon, many warriors, including veteran squads, come to challenge them for the thrill of winning. Lu's squad accepts these challenges with points at stake. They win more than they lose, and their points rise quickly. By the end of the month, despite the envy of other squads, Lu's squad is at the top and makes it to the finals. The final competition will be between 3 squads. The scene cuts to the Colosseum where the final battles are supposed to take place. The 3 elders head to the Colosseum. Joel gets excited every time they return to the ruins at the end of the month. Watching their squads improve step by step is moving. The woman is fascinated by how Lu's squad jumped to the top of the rankings in just a few days, beating 8 teams. She heard that they used their points to challenge other squads, and won most of the fights. She thinks this method is foolish, and asks our brute commander to put a stop to it. But Yi Yaotang says they earn their points through their own strength, and there's no reason to stop. He adds that with Aang and Lu on their team, they're already strong. He's watched some of their fights and saw that the other 2 members are good as well. When they reach a door, Joel remembers that it's been years since a new squad made it to the finals, causing quite a stir outside. Yao Tong opens the door, enters the Colosseum, and says he's excited for the upcoming matches. In the crowd, a member of Tada Yoshioku's squad criticizes our brute captain and his squad. She criticizes them for not having a name. Another girl from Tada Yoshioku's team warns her that others might hear. By the way, Tada Yoshioku's team is called the Sunflower Squad, and Joel's is the Luminous Squad. Everyone thinks that Yi Yao Tong's side is full of rookies and that all the hype is just rumors. Our squad stretches, and Sugi notices that their opponent looks intimidating. Lan says that the Starflower and Luminous squads are the strongest under Tada Yoshioku and Joel, and are well known in Helios. He adds that the next 3 captains, who will replace the current ones, will come from these squads. Aang says it's fine, and tells his squad to give it their all. Even though his body still lacks his secret power, he won't lose to anyone with strength similar to a Fin Demon. He feels that winning should be easy and is curious about the prize. Meanwhile, Tada Yoshioku asks his squad to gather. When they gather, the squad leader tells her captain that they're ready and asks for something special if they win, like a shopping trip with her beloved captain in a level B town. Right on cue, the Luminous squad also arrives and doesn't hesitate to criticize the Sunflower squad. While other squads are after something bigger, the Sunflower squad's only thinking about going shopping. A girl from the Starflower squad gets annoyed and says he doesn't understand how important buying clothes is for girls. Now she knows why the Sunflower squad would never get along with Luminous. The captains of all the teams finally arrive. Once the seniors finish their talk, Yi Yao Tang orders our squad to gather. When the 3 squads come together, he says that since everyone already knows each other, he won't introduce them one by one. And without further ado, he explains the terms and conditions. The finals will have both team and individual matches, and the squad with the most points wins. Tada Yoshioku adds that the rules for each match will be revealed later, and that they'll announce the prize to keep everyone competitive. She is sure that everyone is excited about the prize. Joel announces that the first prize is a one-way training session in a level B village, which makes the contestants happy. Our squad is very, very happy. Without further delay, Ji Hao Teng orders the squad leaders to come forward for the drawing. While the leaders draw their lots, the warriors try to guess what challenge they'll face. Aang thinks about the changes he sees compared to his previous life. Back in his time, the ranking of villages wasn't clear. They were independent and had to fend for themselves. He remembers Lan saying that this is a level C village, the lowest rank. Level B and A villages are above them. Level A villages have strong warriors. The only settlement above that is the Great City, the strongest, with warriors who have 5 or 6 fins and the 7 top fin warriors. Aang wonders how it compares to his old village and if it still exists after the Great Battle. He thinks about his old companions. Suddenly, Lan calls out to him, noticing that he's daydreaming. Sui Hu suggests they get ready, since they're the first to compete. Ji Yao Tang announces that all weapons have been swapped for training weapons, and that the first match is between Lu's squad and the Luminous squad. Suddenly, the photographer realizes they still don't have a squad name and wonders if they'll come up with one. Lan agrees, saying they need a good name for when they become famous. Ong says that's a good idea, and that they should talk about it later. Meanwhile, Lu feels nervous. The leader of the Luminous squad mocks him, asking how such a disorganized group could possibly win. He tells his members to focus on taking out their opponents and to leave Lu to him. The battle is signaled to begin. Lu realizes that this will be a fight where everyone battles one-on-one, but this strategy only favors the stronger opponents. She laments the situation and tells her team to group up. Aang sees that Liu has figured out their tactics. The best move for our squad would be to take out their leader. He points out that the biggest flaw in the Luminous Squad's strategy is that if they lose their leader, the whole team falls apart. Lu's judgment is good, and Aang thinks she's great, but the opponent also tells their team to regroup and change tactics, and everyone focuses on our girl Lu. Lu also tells her team to support her by covering her moves. Her teammates quickly block the other 3 members of the Luminous Squad with precise strikes. The leader of the Luminous Squad sees Lu moving straight toward him and warns her not to underestimate him, and he also charges in to fight Lu. The guy attacks with a small gun made of red resin. The girl quickly instructs her team to close their eyes to stay safe. She thinks the guy used energy in his hand to make a flash grenade that even hit his own teammates. Seeing this dirty trick, Jiao Tong gets annoyed with Joel for not teaching the leader of the Luminous Squad how to fight without cheating. The flash works in duels, but it's bad in team battles because it affects your own teammates. Joel replies that he told him many times, but he wouldn't listen, and sometimes habits need a hard lesson. In the battle, the arrogant one thinks that rookies shouldn't be cocky. As he's about to attack, Aang steps in, smacks his hands, and asks if he ever thought about his teammate's safety. Then our guy puts on a water visor and kickskin. The guy is surprised and wants to know since when Aang has had the visor. Our guy throws a punch before explaining that the goggles are made of water, thick, and able to bend light, which blocks most of the flash. He made him by absorbing water, which reduces the light. It works, and the light fades away. Lu sees that the opposing team's leader is hurt after our guy's hit, so she rushes in to finish off the bastard. Meanwhile, that bastard suddenly can't move his hand. Looks like Aang dislocated his arm. The girl gets furious and lands a hard hit on the bastard. Meanwhile, Aang calmly helps his teammates so the fights go smoothly. After the battle, Lu calls the enemy team's attention, telling him their leader has fallen and asks if they want to keep going. Of course, they choose to surrender. Joel says it was to be expected. Even worse, Arkai hasn't even used his power yet. The leader of the Sunflower Squad questions the leader of the Luminous Squad, asking if their defeat was due to a lack of strength. The guy says they were just caught off guard, and warns that the Sunflower Squad will be next. As the Sunflower Squad heads down, their leader thinks the Luminous Squad's comments are annoying. When they enter the arena, Tada Yoshioku tells them the weapons are set to training mode, starting the battle. The Sunflower Squad attacks Lu's team. Their leader tells them not to get upset by the Luminous Squad's tactics, to stick to their training and to maintain formation. Meanwhile, our brute Lon decides to put all his strength into a single punch. When he hits the ground, he creates a shockwave that cracks the earth. Aang thinks about using his power since there's chaos. He makes roots come out of the ground to trap the opponents. They're surprised and wonder where this power came from. Aang is happy that it works and sees lots of uses for the elements he got from the demons. He wonders how many there are. Lu signals to land to keep attacking, and the guy charges, but the opponents dodge. The leader of the Sunflower Squad orders her team to move and regroup. She thinks their formation has been broken, but instantly Lu and Sui Yu attack the leader, who tries to block and calls for help, but sees that her teammates are already fighting against ours. The girl sees Aang with 2 teammates and remembers the warning from the Luminous Squad. Aang is the strongest on Lu's team and could turn the tide of the battle. Our photographer warns her to stay focused, but the girl feels invincible because she's an agility type. This cocky girl gets a reality check when Sui Yu uses her speed to attack her, giving us the victory. Hida Yoshioku says it's over. Lu's team won all the battles. Now it's time for individual duels. As the warriors pick their opponents, both leaders from the Sunflower and Luminous Squads want to fight Aang. Ji Yao Tang explains that individual duels are one-on-one, so they have to decide who will fight our guy. But being the tough guy he is, Aang wants to take on both of them. As the duels draw near, Aang knows this will be the final fight, so he has to take it seriously. His opponent is convinced that Aang is underestimating him. They promise that he'll regret not taking him seriously. Tada Yoshioku explains that the rules are the same as before, and the duel ends when one side surrenders or can't continue. And with that settled, they're ready to fight. The boy and the girl attack Aang together. The boy strikes first, warning him again not to underestimate him. He uses his flash attack again, causing his partner to be surprised that he's using this trick so soon. You see, a while ago, the two of them had a conversation before the duel began. She remembers the boy saying that, since they're fighting Aang together, they can't afford to lose. The chance to go to a level B city might still be possible. He has a good plan, and gives her a special battle visor, saying it will block most flash attacks. When he blinds Aang, she should take the opportunity to attack. The girl is amazed by the value of the visor. The boy emphasizes that they can't underestimate Aang and need to work together to get to the level B city. He also reminds her that the flash will be the signal, so she shouldn't miss her chance. As the boy gets ready to attack, he lets our guy know there's no way to escape because his attack is 5 times stronger than before. Tadara Yoshioku and the others struggle to see through the bright light. The girl notices that the boy put a lot of energy into a powerful flash, even stronger than in the last finals. Joel fears that using so much energy means the core won't be able to handle it for long, so they need to finish quickly. The leader of the Sunflower Squad believes that Aang will only be blinded for a short time, and to take advantage of this opportunity, she decides to use her speed to attack him quickly. She finds him and gets ready to attack, but my boy was already on her, looking at her with a satisfied expression on his face. The girl is shocked by his intense gaze, feeling as if something terrifying is dragging her into a cold ocean. Aang uses water to trap her, making her scream in pain. While her partner is busy producing blinding light, he asks why she's the one screaming, to which she replies that it's because Aang attacked her and her visor fell off, leaving her blind. Aang apologizes for ruining their plan. Then he uses different elements to attack them both, knocking them down. Yi Yao Tang watches the flashes and dust, hoping the warriors know how to control their power so no one gets hurt. Worried, he jumps into the arena to check and senses an ominous aura. But after that massive explosion of energy, the dust starts to settle, revealing our boy as the only one still standing. His friends run toward him. Lan is the first to praise him and asks how he managed to stop their attacks in the bright light and defeat 2 opponents at the same time. He's curious because no one could see anything after that explosion of light, to which Aang reveals that he grabbed their visor, leaving them blind as well. But of course, Lu internally feels there's more to it than that, even though he doesn't voice his suspicions. Yi Yao Tang approaches his squad, telling them they won the tournament and congratulating him. He's impressed by our boy, especially by how he countered and attacked the 2 squad leaders. Aang humbly says that his superior is just flattering him. Internally, Aang thinks he's the most powerful warrior and that no tough opponent could make him lose. He feels that he could have won just with his battle experience, although using his powers made it easier. Yi Yao Tang then assures them that they will be rewarded. The next day, they'll go to the underground tunnel to the nearest level B city for a week of training. Everyone is happy with this news. Their superior tells them to get ready and meet up in the morning as they leave. Lan says he heard there are 3 elite warriors in those cities and hopes to meet them. As our squad walks away with smiles on their faces, Joel notes that Aang is so strong that even they couldn't beat him if he used his full power. Our tough commander agrees too, believing that the kid will reach the peak of his career someday. Joel adds that the underground tunnel is safer than traveling on the surface. The woman warns the commander to stay alert since sometimes finless demons appear. Yi Yao Tang isn't worried. He believes that no finless demon can threaten them. He trusts that the 4 of them will be fine without his help. The underground tunnel, once a travel hub, is now in ruins and serves only as a passageway. Meanwhile, in one of those tunnels, a frightened warrior is running away, but a 2-fin demon kills him. The demon says that humans are weak and boring. He's lost and doesn't know how to get out. The next day, Yi Yao Tang and his young companions arrive at the underground passage. Su is excited and takes pictures. She says the place is really old and asks when it was built. The elder reveals that it's older than he is. The girl notices that it looks deserted and wonders if it was ever used. Yi Yao Tang explains that after the Battle of Dawn, many warriors died and the number of elites dropped, making expansion or missions impossible. On top of that, they ran out of energy crystals. The vast underground network was abandoned due to the lack of energy crystals. It was built during the era of the Great Warrior En. Sui Su was surprised that it was from such a famous era. The most fascinating thing is that our boy's hero also lived during that time. He feels smug about it, which annoys Yi Tang. She thinks the boy just shares the great warrior's name and has no real connection to him. She orders Aang not to joke about the most powerful warrior. After an argument, the older one calms down when he realizes he got upset for no reason. He reassures them and asks them to continue. Seeing the architecture, Aang remembers that the structure looks like something he suggested in a past life. His captain is wrong about one detail. This place is a huge underground network that connects the cities and serves as the safest and fairest trade route. He didn't expect such an impressive system to be abandoned after his death. Out of curiosity, Lan asks about the energy crystals his elder mentioned. And yes, they're like demon cores. Yi Tang explains that energy crystals are made by combining many demon cores together. A single demon core increases power, but combining many is complicated. They failed until they managed to create a large energy crystal. This crystal powers their cities like electricity. Future high-level operations will require group hunts to obtain demon cores and make energy crystals for the elite. They go to the level B city of Picadia to learn and receive their crystals. Suisu asks, what happens if the city's energy core runs out and there are no replacements? Ji Tang says that everything would come to a halt. Everyone is shocked. The Major clarifies that without energy, normal life would be impossible. Defense and weapons would stop working and people would flee their homes. It's the city's biggest disaster, but there's no need to panic. He or his town isn't very big. Their energy crystal can last another 3 months. They usually travel to Picadia every month, so it's just a precaution. There's no immediate danger. Jiao Tong warns them to be prepared. A level B city like Picadia has 3 5-fin warriors, including one with a synchronization rate of 69%. Everyone except Aang is surprised. My boy brags about being a 7-fin warrior with a 96% synchronization rate. Sushi sees a button on the wall, goes to press it, and asks what it is. Aang sees what she's doing and stops her. Ji Tang scolds her for touching things and is glad Aang stepped in. The girl says the button looks like it wants to be pressed. Her hand just naturally reaches for it. Ji Tang explains that the button is for an emergency seal. In the worst case scenario, it would close off that part of the tunnel. He points to a circle above and says that if you press it, metal slabs will instantly seal off the area. This is to cut off access to other cities and ensure safety. Aang thinks the most important part of the tunnel is still working, but he senses a murderous intent. He gets ready for battle and moves forward a bit. The Major notices Aang's tense expression and then smells blood, which shocks him. He's surprised that Aang sensed the enemy earlier. For now, he figures Aang just has a really sensitive nose and chalks it up to instinct. Now's not the time to think. He tells Lu's squad to drop their bags and get ready for battle. As they move forward, they see blood, and Jiao Tang wonders what's happening in Picadia since the blood is coming from that direction. They find a wounded Picadia warrior who asks if they're from Eluas before collapsing. Jiao Tang asks what happened in Picadia. The man says that a demon horde attacked the city. Picadia has already activated the evacuation alarm. Lu asks what that means, if they should go help. Jiao Tang reveals that the city would only activate the alarm if all its warriors are dead. Aang is furious about the fall of the city and the lives lost. They see sparks coming from Picadia. A beam of light strikes the wounded warrior, dragging him away. Aang feels bad for not reacting as a demon appears. He grabs the wounded man's head and looks at the others. He says that everyone must die and the dead don't talk. He kills the warrior. The demon thinks about who to kill first. He attacks Lan, but Jiao Tang stops the blow. The demon notices that this warrior is stronger. Jiao Tang realizes it's a 2-finned fire demon and that it's very powerful. He knows he can't take another hit and has to protect him. He doesn't have the energy to think, so he grabs him and takes off running. The demon keeps chasing him relentlessly. Jiao Tang reaches a button, but the demon gets closer and threatens to kill them. Aang presses the button, pushing Jiao Tang and the others through. He stays behind with the demon and the wounded warrior from Picadia. Lu tries to protest, but the door closes, leaving her worried. Jiao Tang remembers how Aang insisted on saving him, so he trusts our boy and tells the kids to stay calm. Aang gave them a chance to survive, and they shouldn't waste it. It's not safe to stay, so he tells them to hurry up and leave. Lan says the demon has 2 fins and that Aang will have a hard time. Suihu agrees, they can't just leave him like that. Lu also insists on breaking down the door to save him. Jiao Tang explains that the door is made of a special material with alloys that can withstand attacks from 3-fin demons. It's not easy to break, and the ceiling is so strong that you can't hear anything from the other side. There's nothing they can do. The three of them ask if there's any other way to save Aang. Jiao Tang admits that even with the help of the other two captains, there's no guarantee, but she finds a possible solution. He tells them to follow him to the side tunnels. One of them leads to another city where they can get help. They keep running along the path Ji Yao Tang showed him. Someone thinks that taking this route means ignoring what's happening on the other side of the door, but everyone hopes our boy will survive. Meanwhile, the man in question is fighting the demon and shows his true power. Since there's no one around, he doesn't need to hide it anymore. Seeing this, the two-finned demon asks if Aang is a demon or a human. Even our boy isn't sure. For now, he's more interested in the demon's fire element. He wants to take it all for himself. Seeing the aura our boy gives off, the two-finned demon gets curious, wondering if he's stronger than a one-finned demon. Aang uses roots to attack the demon. Seeing this, the demon mocks him, saying that if Aang is a one-finned wood type, his fire is the perfect counterattack. He unleashes a fierce blaze to destroy Aang's roots, saying he'll consume his powers. The demon shoots a burst of fire, but Aang dodges it, causing the fire to hit the door instead. The bastard mocks Aang, saying he'll get burned if he comes any closer and tries to escape, but our boy uses water to counter the fire and creates a powerful explosion. This surprises the demon, and Aang tells him to stay put. Thinking he only had the wood element, in an instant, Aang swings his claws and grabs the demon's core. He tears the bastard apart after taking it. Suddenly, a bunch of demons attack him, and he sees that none of them have fins. He realizes they followed the sound of his fight. He looks at the two-finned fire elemental core, smashes it, and absorbs the fragments. After turning into a two-finned demon, he feels the intense heat of the flames. He realizes they are countless finless demons. Remembering how to control fire, he creates a massive explosion to defeat them. The screams of these bastards are a tribute to the soldiers who lost their lives in the tunnel. While fighting, he reaches an exit and thinks the demons might have come from there. He sees the devastated area with many dead warriors lying on the ground. He realizes that the Level B city has been destroyed by a powerful demon horde. The horrific scene and the remains of the battle indicate that a wood-type demon killed the warriors in a single blow, affecting a large area. The power probably came from a three-finned demon who killed the civilians. Yi Yao Tang had said there were 2 three-finned core warriors in the city. Aang sees 2 warriors hanging from the roots. He uses his roots to lower them, recognizing that they were incredible warriors. He closes their eyes and tells them they can finally rest in peace. He feels the harshness of the battle. Suddenly, a young man calls out to Aang. Mistaking our boy for a demon, the kid asks if he plans to kill everyone. He thinks he's a high-level demon since he can take human form. He says the warrior saved his life and he can't stand demons run in their bodies. Hearing this, Aang doubts the boy will trust his intentions, even if he tries to explain himself. Before he can think, a demon attacks the boy with a devastating blow. Quickly, Aang fights the demon and defeats it. Then he turns to the boy and tells him not to move, promising to heal him. The boy asks if Aang is a demon or a human, and with that last question, the boy dies before getting an answer. This makes Aang question his own nature, but he decides that whatever he is, his mission remains the same, to kill all the demons. And so the massacre begins. He strikes them with several devastating attacks using his new firepower. He then explains that if he concentrates the flames on his back, he can move faster and spread the fire like phosphorus powder to create explosions, although it's a shame he can't fly. But he wonders what would happen if he injected the flames directly into their bodies. When he slams a demon to the ground, it causes a huge explosion. He thinks that if he compresses the flames and injects them, the demons could turn into bombs. He realizes that elemental abilities have a lot of uses, and decides to think about it later. Just then, he sees the demons running away. He uses his fire magic to chase them down and kill them all. Afterwards, he remembers the others waiting for him and that Yi Yao Tong was supposed to bring an energy crystal. Aang doesn't know if they're safe. The city's energy crystal will only last 3 months, but the road to Pakadia City is blocked. The city would be in trouble if they don't get a new crystal soon. He needs to get to the city's crystal warehouse and obtain the energy crystal. Not knowing where to go, he has to carefully consider his resources. Using his wood abilities, he thinks that since the energy crystal is a condensed core, it must emit energy. He can scan the city for energy fluctuations to find it. He extends his roots throughout the city to search for the crystal. Finally, he finds it and runs toward the source, realizing it's underground. He senses faint energy changes, which means it's well protected. He finds an entry point and goes down, discovering that the underground area is more complex. In the chamber, he sees a machine and realizes it's part of the energy distribution network of a level B city, which is impressive. He assumes the energy crystal must be even more amazing. Just then, he hears an automated transmission ordering the warriors to protect the crystal with their lives. He heads to the warehouse and wonders how many warriors there are. Aang uses his powers to check and finds dead warriors. The demons also damage the crystals. He thinks the fallen warriors fought to protect the crystals until their deaths. The demons launched a targeted attack to destroy him and seem smarter, as if someone with a plan was leading him. Aang knows he needs to get an energy crystal and look for equipment on the surface for his quest. If Yao Tang and the others are in trouble, Helios City would be in great danger. He must find another city within 3 months and bring an energy crystal back to Helios. He enters the prep room, grabs a truck, and heads out to look for a new city. As he drives, he notices that the areas outside the city haven't been explored. The fog is thick, and the ruined buildings are remnants of a once lively life, now perhaps home to demons. He checks the map and follows the direction to the next city. Someone watches him from a hiding spot and cuts the rope so that logs fall onto Aang. He dodges the logs with precision and gets out of the truck. Aang thinks it was the work of a demon, but it wasn't. A girl points a weapon at him, orders him to stop, asks who he is, what hunting group he's from, and insists that he identify himself. He feels like this is a bad time for a hunting group to show up. Aang thinks about how complicated the situation is and that he didn't expect to run into anyone. He tries to explain that he's not from any hunting group, just a warrior passing through. The girl accuses him of lying. She says that city warriors wouldn't want him alone, and that he must be a scout from the Silver Wolf group. Aang is surprised and repeats that he's not from any hunting group. He should calm down. It's all too sudden to explain. The girl throws a bottle near him, orders him to shut up, and says that people like him are worse than demons. Then she asks if his companions from the Warring Gun group are still alive. Aang thinks that the Warring Gun members were captured by the Silver Wolf group. He admits that he can't prove whether he's a warrior from a hunting group or not, especially with her weapon pointed at him. Aang notices more people arriving. The girl points her weapon at him again and tells him not to move. Suddenly, a bullet hits her and she falls. Aang sees some guys on motorcycles and realizes they killed the girl. It seems there are still survivors from the sarin gun. One of the thugs suggests taking the survivors to their boss, so they go to check. As they approach the girl, she thinks they're from the Silver Wolf group and tries to raise her injured hand. One of them grabs her by the head and, surprised, comments that she's a woman. He looks at her and says she's pretty, thinking about doing something to her. Aang arrives and kicks the man. He disapproves of getting involved in gang matters, but notices that the Silver Wolf guys are scum. In a bad mood because of the day, he offers them a chance to leave. The man, scared after seeing Aang's intimidating side, calls him a demon. Aang grabs the weapon and crushes it, saying he doesn't like being threatened with a weapon. The man offers to let Aang go, but it's not Aang who needs his mercy. He uses his roots to strike the man, sending him flying far away. The man then demands to know if Aang is a demon or a human. Aang crushes the weapon even more, insisting that whether he's a demon or a human is none of his business, and then kills him. Afterwards, Aang tends to the girl's wounds. The bullet went through a muscle and needs healing. She thanks him when he's done, saying it must be one of his abilities. She heard that four-finned warriors have amazing powers and that Aang is very strong. She asks if he's a five-finned warrior. Aang senses the power of a two-finned demon, and although he's stronger than a two-finned warrior, he admits to being a two-finned warrior. Impressed, she thanks him for saving her and apologizes for threatening him. Aang quickly forgives her. He says it's good to be careful, but only when you're outside. He needs to get to the nearest city, and asks if she knows which one it is. It seems like she does know, and she also wants to go with him. Aang points out that they just met and don't even know each other's names, questioning how she can trust him so quickly. He asks what she's going to do there. She explains that the closest settlement is Jinghua Village, which is very small, but it was taken over by the Silver Wolf group a few days ago. The Searing Gun group tried to free it, but they failed, and all of her companions died. They had a chance to win, but they didn't expect that the Silver Wolf captain was already a three-fin core warrior. Their captain was a two-fin core warrior, and they were no match for a three-fin. She escaped. If Free and the village doesn't interfere with her mission, she wants his help and is willing to risk her life to assist him. Aang thinks that although there were hunting groups in his past life, he never saw anything like this. He wonders what the current leader is doing while these groups are taking over villages. The girl said that the Silver Wolf group took over a tower for energy crystals, but she doesn't know what they plan to do. Aang gets angry thinking that those scumbags want to steal the city's life. He asks her to guide him since they have a deal with him. Later, at dusk, she tells him they're almost there. They keep going and he suggests hiding the car before getting closer to the village. Aang says he doesn't remember this village, it's not on any map, and the Silver Wolf group took it over. They decide to walk the rest of the way and investigate. Just as they're about to leave, she spots demons hiding behind them. Aang's roots quickly trap him, taking him out. He decides to leave those bastards like that because they can't kill them all. Fresh blood would just attract more. He tells her to keep going, and she nods as they head to the village. She thinks about how strong Aang is, hopeful that they'll be able to save the village and their friends. Hiding in some bushes, Aang notices there are no guards on the wall and the gate is open. They see someone leaving the village with another person calling for help. A Silver Wolf man grabs the head and throws it to the ground. The girl gets angry at the Silver Wolf men and aims at him, but Aang stops her. That would give away their location. He assures her that he'll take care of it. Then a giant hand appears, picks up the two dead bodies and carries them inside. It looks like this demon is working with the Silver Wolf man. Of course, our duo is shocked. They can't use the same plan if there's a demon involved. They have to get in quickly and save as many people if they can. He takes out the two Silver Wolf men at the gate and enters the village. The girl follows him, saying she wants to help. She sees the two Silver Wolf men and wonders what Aang did to them since they look like they've been dead for days. The village is full of Silver Wolf members and Aang takes them out one by one. He figures they're corpses controlled by a demon, so he doesn't hold back. Aang kills them all. He thinks black threads are controlling him. These demons usually work alone, so he needs to follow the threads to find and defeat the main one. He tells the girl he'll save the father and son they saw at the gate, and asks her to find any other survivors. She agrees. Aang follows the trail to a door. He bangs on it to open it, but he feels sluggish. Inside, a demon sits on a throne and says that everything in the village, living or dead, belongs to him. He kept the couple alive to play with, but they escaped and crossed a boundary. The demon invites Aang to come closer. Aang notices 3 energy crystals behind the demon. The Silver Wolf group took over the village for these crystals, which attracted the demon. He wonders why a demon would want crystals. The demon turns to Aang and asks if he is human or demon. Aang realizes it's a rare type of purple core with special abilities. He tells him that he must have killed everyone from Silver Wolf, since their leader, a 3-finned core warrior, couldn't match his control. The demon kicks someone toward Aang, the very man they were talking about. Aang blocks the attack from the zombified warrior. Suddenly, a bunch of ghouls appear to greet him. He sees that not only the Silver Wolf members, but also the village warriors have turned into ghouls. There are a lot of them, and the demon welcomes Aang to his group. Aang thinks about the 3-finned demon while it's in its 2-finned form. It would be a problem if it were a normal 3-finned demon, but this one has a purple core, is weak in combat, and uses psychic powers. Our guy clenches his fire fist and defeats them instantly. The demon's impressed. He thinks Aang isn't a normal human. The demon orders his army to fight, but Aang says it's useless. He burned their cores. The demon gets upset. It took him a lot of effort to collect them. Aang is glad to have freed the warriors from this guy's control. There are no more cores the demon can control, which weakens his power. Our guy charges in and punches the bastard. After a flurry of blows, he gets ready for the final strike. Right then, the demon puts the boy in the way. Our guy, caught off guard, takes a direct hit to the stomach. The demon reveals that he not only controls cores, but also possesses sharp golden elements. Aang thinks about the metal element, its depth, and decides to treat his wounds. He uses healing magic. The demon says the fight is tougher than he thought and that he'll use something that was very hard for him to get. He tells a man to bring an object. He regrets having to use his precious duo so soon. The man brings a green liquid, which the demon drinks. Aang wonders what it is and senses danger, with no time to recover. He charges at the demon despite the pain, trying to stop him. He jumps to attack, but a shield protects the demon, throwing Aang backward. He wonders where the demon got such power, believing he's forcefully drawing energy from a crystal. Aang knows that's impossible. The crystal's energy was condensed by humans, and extracting it like that would make it explode. He tried it in his past life. The demon's power is wild and uncontrollable, but it stops just before the threshold. Aang wonders if this is because of the drug that bastard drank. One thing is certain, this isn't something made by a demon. The demon evolves, glowing as it uses the crystal's power to become a four-fin demon. Aang realizes things are getting worse. The demon gets cocky and attacks. Aang sees that the demon now has the abilities of a four-fin demon. As he tries to dodge, the demon knocks him down. The demon mocks Aang, saying that each fin creates a huge power gap. In short, our boy doesn't stand a chance, or at least that's what this bastard thinks. The demon offers Aang to become its core. Just as the demon is about to attack, it stops when purple circles appear. A creepy woman emerges from the circles, grabs the demon's head, and tells him not to interfere. Before that arrogant demon can react, the woman compresses him to absorb him. Afterwards, she transforms into a four-fin demon. Aang feels the pressure from this eight-fin demon, a pressure he's already experienced before. The demon inside him exhales the same pressure, which is why he recognizes this feeling. The demoness mocks him for delaying the awakening of the great Crimson King. She finds humans annoying, especially how weak they are. That's the reason why Aang is progressing so slowly. The demoness uses her power to send Aang flying, and then with a stone forces him to evolve into a four-finned form by inserting a crystal into him. Aang knows things are about to get ugly because jumping straight to a four-finned demon will make his chest explode. He starts to feel terrible pain, realizing that his body can't handle the four-finned core. The demoness asks him if he's so weak that he can't absorb the energy of a four-finned demon. A light starts to shine from Aang as he struggles to tell the demoness that he's about to explode and needs help. The demoness activates an 8-panel spatial barrier around him and tells him to hang in there. Then the Crimson Demon speaks through Aang, revealing that she disturbed his slumber. The demoness recognizes the voice and knows who's speaking. Aang's demon asks her if she forgot what he told her. He breaks the crystal barrier and takes over Aang's body. He criticizes her for interfering with Aang's path of evolution. Realizing it's Crimson, she hugs him, happy that he's finally there. He says it's been a long time since they last saw each other. She says she's been watching humans from the shadows and noticed that he couldn't defeat the new four-fin demon. She's worried that if he dies, their combined strength would weaken, and they'd need a lot of training. Crimson explains that humans are different from demons, weak but mysterious. Although Aang recently absorbed the power of a two-fin demon, she forced him to skip the three-fin stage and injected him with the four-finned core, which his body can't handle. The energy that leaked from Aang's body allowed him to wake up temporarily. He tells her not to interfere with his evolution because Aang needs to evolve slowly to become the perfect vessel. She agrees and tells Crimson that during his absence, when he faked his death, the other four kings only argued and never gathered, maintaining a balance of power just as Crimson predicted. Crimson then recalls how the other kings feared his strength and joined forces to eliminate him. Even without him, they kept fighting among themselves instead of working on themselves. They've probably forgotten their original mission. Then he asks her if they consider her suspicious, to which she replies that even if they did suspect her, they don't have the energy to investigate what happened that day, so she's safe. Actually, she's more worried about him. Her only concern is welcoming him back at his strongest. Crimson assures her that it's only a matter of time. She forcibly evolved her weak body into the four-finned form, but Aang needs to adapt and stabilize his new power. He advises that it's better if she doesn't contact Aang, because any unwanted attention could ruin their plans. The lady admits that she misses him and wants to see him, even if it's just through his vessel. The girl who was with Aang arrives, noticing the 8-fin demon and wondering what she's doing there. The demon realizes she forgot to clear the area first. Quickly, Crimson attacks the girl, trying to kill her. Right at that moment, Aang's dormant consciousness begins to surface when he hears that girl calling him a demon. When he returns to his normal state, he sees that the girl has been killed by Crimson and is filled with rage. Aang shoots a red lightning bolt into the sky and transforms into his four-finned form. The memories of that start to surface, and he remembers his conversation with the girl who dreamed of going to Dawn City to become a florist because she loved flowers. In the end, he gives her a proper cremation and burns down the entire village along with her. He feels sad about how cruel and cold the world has become. He believes that more beautiful flowers might bring back some warmth. He struggles to forgive himself, feeling that the incident happened because he couldn't control the demonic power within him. He hopes the fire will protect her from demons and that she can rest in peace. He decides not to rely on his four-finned powers and knows he needs to clear his mind since so much is happening. He's confused about the relationship between the 8-fin demon and Crimson, and why it made him skip the 3-fin stage and go straight to 4. He wonders what its ultimate goal is and how a 3-finned could become a 4-finned. A demon can't do this alone, so he thinks about who might have given or created this power. Such advanced engineering could only be the work of a major city or a higher organization. He suspects it may have developed in Dawn City and needs to find a big city quickly. He decides to contact Ji Yaotong to let her know he's safe. He also wonders how the others are doing. Then he drives the monster truck, hoping his friends escape from the tunnels and make it out safely. There's an A-level city, Pakedia, in his direction. He plans to send a message from there. In Bryan City, Ji Yaotong and the other 3 arrive safely and meet up with the 5-finned warrior and battle commander Koda. After hearing their reports, Koda apologizes for not sending a rescue team. He can't risk his team just for one guy, Aang. They just learned that Pet City, a B-level city, was destroyed by a high-level demon horde, so it's impossible for the kid to still be alive. Yao Tong argues that Aang has special talents and might have survived. Koda says that even though Bryan City has many young warriors with talent, none would survive such a powerful demon horde, but he emphasizes that they shouldn't abandon human lives in the apocalypse. Even if they can't send a rescue team, they can send warriors to scout out the situation. Ji Yaotong thanks him for his help. The big shot stands up and ends the meeting, since he has matters to attend to. As he leaves, he wonders if the high-level demon horde in Pakedia City will affect the Grand Demon Hunting Tournament in Dawn City. He mentions that he's heard about the tournament and that Helios is a level C settlement. Before leaving, he reassures Ji Yaotong that everything will be fine and invites them to stay a few more days to learn more about the situation. He explains that the tournament is held by the only level S city and requires participating cities to be at least level B. Although Helios doesn't qualify yet, Ji Yaotong and his companions might. Koda suggests that it would help them to learn about the tournament and offers to let them explore the office in the city. Everyone thanks him sincerely. After Koda leaves, Su Yu asks the captain about the Grand Demon Hunting Tournament. Ji Yaotong explains that it's an event held only in Dawn City where participants hunt demons of different levels to select new powerful warriors. They also receive special prizes from Dawn City. The event takes place regularly and all the warriors want to compete, but only cities ranked B or higher can join. Ji Yaotong thinks they might have a chance to compete in the future. Lan is sure that our guy would be interested in the tournament. He hopes that Aang survived and is waiting for the demon horde to weaken. Of course, no one expected such a tough challenge on their first mission, and the fact that Aang put himself in danger to save everyone is just crazy. Right now, all they can do is wait for reports from the scouts. He already sent a message to Helios about their situation, using the city's communication tower. For now, the captain plans to stay in Bryan City for a few days to learn as much as he can. There are many skilled warriors there, so our group has to believe that Aang will survive. Meanwhile, in Pakedia, Aang is in the reception room with Paris. The woman confirms our boy's report that Pakedia City was destroyed by a demon horde. They also helped Aang send a message to Helios village about his squad's situation, and she believes a response will arrive soon. However, Paris apologizes for not being able to give Aang an energy crystal because they're not responsible for distributing them. The allocation is decided by higher-level cities. Since Pakedia, Aang's city, was destroyed, he has to request a new allocation from Dawn City. He didn't expect the distribution of crystals to be such a hassle. Since he's here, he might as well explore the city and investigate the demonic objects. His current identity might make it difficult for him to get in. He thanks Paris and asks if he can enter Dawn City on behalf of Helios. Paris refuses, explaining that he needs to be a captain to officially represent Helios. Otherwise, he won't have the necessary access. She can't appoint another representative either. Aang considers going back to Helios for an official appointment, but it seems like a hassle to him. Paris mentions another way to enter Dawn City, having a high-ranking officer like herself vouch for him. Aang asks if she's offering to do that. She agrees, but says she doesn't have to. She tells him that if he joins the Grand Demon Hunt tournament as an external recruit, she wants him to join her squad and act as the vanguard to gather information. She can't promise he'll survive. Aang remembers what it means to be the vanguard. Because the job is so dangerous, no one on her team wants that responsibility. After thinking it over, he agrees. He feels like the Grand Demon Hunt is something he started himself. Paris takes him to the nano equipment warehouse and tells him she made him the vanguard because they were desperate. Now, no city wants to send their important members as vanguards since so many have died. She warned him that she'd do everything she could to get him the equipment and would let him choose whatever he wanted. He agrees and starts looking around. Paris is intrigued by Aang's potential. His central level badge is broken, so she can't detect his power. Being from a seaside village, he's only a 2-fin central warrior, but Aang seems confident and might have an ace up his sleeve. He chooses the nano wing that transforms into a greatsword. His old knife was good for moving around, but it didn't do enough damage. Paris asks him to wait, since this item is only for a 3-fin warrior. It would be unstable if he used it with his current strength, and he could get hurt. But he equips it anyway and shows how easily he can spin the sword, saying it feels solid. The woman is shocked, wondering how he can pilot it so easily, and thinks he really understands nano wings. She's heard of warriors with special talents who can handle high-level nano wings without any trouble. Aang asks if there is a live combat arena available. They go to the main entrance, where Paris promises to get him the gear he needs. She asks him why he wants to go to the live combat arena, and he says he wants to test the new nano wing against a demon as a warm-up. She asks if he really wants to go alone, since sometimes 1-fin demons show up, even though the arena's safe. She offers to go with him, but Aang says he can handle a 1-fin demon by himself. His confidence and bravery are unusual, so she wants him to be careful. She mentions that she has to train 4-fin warriors and wishes more of them were as confident as Aang. With that exchange, they part ways. Aang intentionally didn't let her come along. He's not just testing his new weapon, he wants to see his 4-fin transformation. He arrives at a ruined area, sees that it's been reclaimed, and the mist is gone. He hears the voice of a demon that appears and attacks him. He dodges and delivers a powerful slash, saying that the greatsword feels better. He sees more demons and fears they don't come out during the day. He can finally get to know his weapon, let out his frustration, and clear his mind. He starts killing the demons one by one. Every strike spills blood and severs limbs. His movements are like a dance, as if he was born to slay demons. He doesn't use elements of wood, water, fire, or metal. Each strike strengthens his muscle memory. He only faces demons without fins, who are no match for him. The only sound is the wailing of the demons, and he has no idea how long he's been there. Finally, Aang takes down the last demon of the wave and realizes that his body has changed due to the demonic power. He feels stronger than when he was reincarnated, though there are still some things that need improvement. He's surprised to find himself out of breath after just a few strikes. Then, more powerful demons appear, drawn by his presence. They each have 1 fin, one is made of wood, the other seems to be made of fire. Aang knows these are the 1-fin demons he's been waiting for. The demon notices that Aang isn't afraid and wonders if that's how he shows it. One of them attacks, but he moves so fast that he hits it with a rock and stabs it with his sword. He says that metal works well against fire. He decides to try out his 4-fin powers. The other demon, scared, asks if he's human. Aang remembers that his purple 4-fin power lets him control cores. After killing it, he uses a purple thread to control it, surprising the other demons when they see Aang controlling one of their own. At dusk, Paris notices that Aang hasn't come back. A man tells her that sunset is near, and because of the demon horde in Pakitia, all the gates, including the side ones, will be closing soon. Paris asks for a report on the demons, and the man says that not only are there more than 1 fin, but there are also demons appearing with 2, 3, and even 4 fins. Paris is worried that the boy might have been caught. She wants him to survive because she just sent in the list of participants and wants to avoid any trouble. She decides to look for him in the combat arena and tells the man she'll be back before the gates close, to which he nods. As she hurries, Paris thinks about her carelessness. Aang was just an ordinary warrior from a seaside village, and she feels bad for letting him go alone to the combat arena, even though he asked to. Usually there are only finless demons, and one with 5 fins appeared years ago. She feels responsible if the boy died there, since it would make her look bad as a 5-fin warrior who failed in her duty. She's worried about how she'll explain it to the Aluo soldiers and hopes that Aang is still alive. When Paris arrives at the arena, she senses a strong demonic aura and smells death, which is not a good sign. There are many demons, including ones with 1, 2, and 3 fins. The higher level demons worry her. This isn't normal. Suddenly, a demon rushes toward her, recognizing her as a 5-fin warrior. She kicks it hard, causing a huge explosion. Something's wrong and she feels something unusual. She sees a lot of demons, which is strange because they don't usually gather like this. She knows she has to act fast before the gates close. She gets ready to fight, noticing that the demons seem like mindless corpses and smell awful. They only come at her from the front, which makes them easier to hit. She decides to use her bowstring slash. After taking out a bunch, more demons show up and she wonders how many there are. At that moment, Aang appears behind her and asks what she's doing there. She's startled and accidentally swings her sword at him. Aang stops her, identifies himself, and tells her it's him. Paris is stunned and asks if he's okay. She can't believe he blocked her attack so easily, even though it was fast and strong. She wonders if he's really from a seaside village, because even a 4-finned warrior would have a hard time blocking that. Aang says she's a good 5-finned warrior, and admits his hand went numb from the blow. He explains that he was focused on something and lost track of time, apologizing for being late. Paris tells him it's okay as long as he's alive, and that they need to take care of the unusual demons. She points out that there are some 3-finned demons that could be dangerous for Aang, and tells him to stay back for his own safety. Aang asks if she's talking about all the demons around him. Right at that moment, he snaps his fingers and all the demons fall. As he's getting ready to head back to the city, Paris is shocked and grabs him by the neck, demanding to know how he did it and if he controls the demons. She also sees that he has a red core and asks about his abilities. Aang says they're just working together and he doesn't need to explain any further. He says he can only slightly control dead demons. He thinks it's normal for warriors to have secret abilities to use as an advantage in this apocalypse. Of course, she's still skeptical. After all, controlling demons is rare, even among 5-fin warriors. Then he says they'll go to Dawn City the next day, because he needs to quickly organize the distribution of energy crystals for Helios. They plan to leave the next day. As they leave the place, Paris thinks about expecting more from Aang in the demon hunting tournament, not knowing that in the combat arena, Aang had scattered many dead demon bodies. Later, they arrive at the gates of Dawn City, and Paris tells everyone to do their best and not embarrass the city. Aang looks around and is sure that Dawn City is the one he managed in his past life. It might have been renamed after his death, since the battlefield was called the Battle of Dawn. The city looks even more impressive than before, and he thinks it'll be a while before he returns. He wonders if he'll get to meet the 6 great heroes, the strongest team he ever trained. He's curious about how they're doing after the Battle of Dawn and whether they'd believe his story. Paris comes over and asks if he's nervous about his first visit to Dawn City. He says it's too soon to be amazed since they haven't even gone inside yet. Dawn City is humanity's only S-level city and the center of its strength. Not everyone's lucky enough to see it, some people never do. Aang thinks that Paris, being a 5-fin warrior, might know something important. He asks her if she knows what happened to the 6 great heroes after the Battle of Dawn. She stops, puzzled, and asks if he means the old 6 heroes? Aang is confused and explains that the 6 great heroes are the 6 people he's talking about, the strongest team led by the king, the most powerful warriors who share his name. Paris is surprised and asks if he really didn't know that. She says that everyone knows the new 6 heroes don't like to talk about the old 6 and warns him not to mention it in the city. She explains that the king and the dynasty have changed and the most powerful warrior now is the new king. The king Aang it's talking about now is the old king. She warns him again not to talk about these things in the city. Aang wonders what happened to the former 6 heroes. Paris raises her voice, asking if he wasn't listening. People nearby start looking at him. She says she never knew why he chose to call himself Aang, maybe because he admired him, but she never asked. She warns him once again not to talk about the old 6 heroes and the old king inside the city. Even though people from a level C city once admired him, that's no longer the case, especially after the old king's sacrifice. No one believes in that anymore. She tells him to remember her words when they go in. Aang feels like no one recognizes him and no one believes in his sacrifice. He wonders what happened after his death. He had led the 6 great heroes and all the warriors in a fierce battle against the demons. Then he went alone to the old king's monument to uncover the secrets of the demon. Everything he did meant nothing. His death meant nothing. He enters the city and thinks they're in the center. The city has been improved, but it's still known as Dawn City. It's much bigger than a typical city, with many urban centers and buildings in different styles. There are forests, lakes, seas, and mountains, which makes it feel like its own world. The enormous city is surrounded by massive walls and divided into 7 large districts. 6 belong to the 6 heroes, and the central district is for the king. Aang notices that many buildings have changed, but the layout is the same, and the air feels familiar. He remembers seeing his own statue here, but the face is currently hidden by clothing. Paris confirms that the statue is of the old king whom Aang admires. It has been here for decades and was made while he was still alive. The old king was very popular, but Paris won't say more. He adds that they plan to tear down the statue soon and replace it with one of the new kings. This makes him feel little empathy for the old king. At the base of the statue, one of the old heroes pays tribute to her companion. This old heroine is Lena, known as the strongest 7-finned recovery-type warrior. This causes Aang's software to crash, since he clearly remembers her as one of his allies. He instinctively shouts her name and sees her placing flowers at the base of the statue. A man approaches and hits Lena, telling her not to pay respects to the old hero, especially since she is one of the old 6 heroes. The flowers fall from Lena's hands to her disappointment. Aang, meanwhile, fondly remembers that even though she's a healer, she has serious anger issues, so he's sure things are about to get ugly. But instead, the girl just apologizes to Morali. More warriors gather around Lena. One of them says he doesn't care who she used to be, but now she's nothing more than a self-proclaimed old heroine who lost the right to have cores and is no longer a warrior. If it weren't for the new king's decree allowing them to stay, she would have been kicked out of Dawn City to fend for herself. He blames her damn old king and his arrogance for her situation, saying that the old king's statue should have been destroyed a long time ago. He insults him, calling him trash that just takes up space. Lena slaps him and the man tries to attack her, but Aang steps in with his sword and stops him, demanding to know how he dares. The other men get angrier and draw their weapons, asking if Aang is looking for trouble. They tell him to lower his sword or they'll shoot. To Aang, these bastards are no different from the useless hunting teens outside the city who have little to no moral values. Before the situation turns into a complete disaster, Paris steps in and stops the fight. She says it's a misunderstanding and explains that these men are A-level warriors from the city of Pikadia who have come to join the great demon hunting tournament. She scolds them if they try to fight with warriors from other cities. She also suggests to Aang that he put away his sword, since he represents Pikadia. Aang puts away his sword. The warriors tell him to leave and avoid fighting with others. They warn that there will be trouble if the captain of the law finds out. One of them tells Aang to go to his hotel if he's participating. He should feel lucky to get away with it. With that, the noisy group leaves. Lena turns around and asks if he knows her. He thinks about telling her that the mighty Aang has returned, but decides that would cause trouble. Paris steps in and tells the old heroine that Aang has a reputation for being trouble. Of course, Aang plays along and confirms that he's trouble, even his name is Trouble. Lena leaves, agreeing that it's a troublesome name, the kind that gives you a headache. Paris gets annoyed with Lena. Aang helped her, and she calls him a headache, but he doesn't care. He'll find the right moment to explain things to her, and he thinks she has a lot to tell him too. The next day, during the parade for the Great Hunt, Paris' team joins in. Someone mentions a new face. Paris tells Aang that after the tournament, he'll help him get in touch with the person in charge of the crystals. Aang is glad he remembered and thanks him. He tells him not to worry, that he won't be disappointed. She feels the same way and reminds him to be careful and not to die. Aang sees Lena and smiles at her, but she looks at him shyly and avoids eye contact. Dawn City has a forest set up for the tournament, made specifically for the Great Demon Hunt. It's like a city within a city, something that's pretty common in the amazing Dawn City. They stop. Paris tells Aang and the 5 warriors that since he's not participating, he can only escort them this far. Their skills will be tested once they enter. He encourages them to bring glory to Pikadia and to fight bravely. Everyone roars. Aang thinks that shouting is necessary. An announcement says that squads must enter in order, with the vanguard going first to the judges area. Aang realizes that the tournament has begun. As he enters, he's amazed at how much the Great Demon Hunt has grown. What used to be a small event now feels nostalgic to him. The announcer welcomes the warriors of Pikadia with their vanguard for info. The warriors bow to Aang, wishing for eternal friendship. A girl asks Aang to gather information and promises to remember his sacrifice. A boy asks for another handshake. Aang tells him to calm down, that he's not dead, nor does he plan on dying. He thinks they know how dangerous it is to be in the vanguard, and their serious faces seem like a farewell. Being in the vanguard must seem like a role with little chance of survival to them, and their faces look sad. A woman speaks to the Vandari. She says their mission holds unknown dangers and praises their bravery. She tells them to enter the area, gather as much information as possible about the demons, and be careful since they'll be facing demons of unknown levels. Aang notices that the warriors are core level 2. The tournament seems like a showcase to find the best of the new generation. Naturally, they don't allow high-level warriors to participate. Paris realizes that Aang's abilities are far greater than those of the level 2 core warriors, and that's fine because no one would guess his true powers if he keeps them hidden. The lady then asks the crowd to give a warm round of applause for the special guest. The highest-ranking judge of the tournament and one of the 6 great warriors, Dylan, the strongest recovery-type warrior, comes out and the audience gives him a standing ovation. Aang sees that Dylan has a dual-core setup, something he had only imagined before. This can give you double the power. If the synchronization rate is high enough, the power could be incredible. A warrior's strength comes from the power of the core, and high synchronization allows you to use more of its potential. But high synchronization also means the body has to withstand the demonic power or be overwhelmed by it. That's why warriors with low core compatibility or weak bodies have lower synchronization rates. In his past life, they could only graft a single core, but now the new 6 heroes have dual core equipment and are much more powerful. Except for Aang, everyone bows to Dylan, and the horned warriors thank him. Aang feels uneasy seeing what happened to the old 6 heroes. His presence makes Aang even more uncomfortable, and Aang feels uneasy about Dylan. The big shot addresses the crowd, acknowledging the warriors' bravery despite the risks. He praises their courage and gives them a level 3 memory core. He also prays for their safe return. The warriors thank Dylan as they bow. One of them tells Aang to stop being rude and bow. Aang apologizes, saying his back hurts and he can't bow properly or it would hurt even more. Dylan smiles at him, which makes Aang feel weird and wonder why he's smiling like that. The girl announces that Dylan, one of the new 6 heroes, will demonstrate hunting a level 4 demon. She wishes them the best for the great demon hunting tournament and welcomes Dylan. The audience applauds, saying they've been waiting for him. The girl tells the vanguards to follow her to watch from the side and gives the stage to him. One of them thinks this demo hunt is to show off the strength and prestige of the new 6 heroes. Catching and containing a 4-fin demon is difficult, and it seems like Dawn City's power has grown. Dylan asks the lady if she's the new referee. She replies yes, and says she's happy to meet him. The big shot then whispers that they need to replace her immediately. He finds the term annoying. There are no new or old heroes, only heroes who represent the city. I'm not lying, this guy gives me Homelander vibes. The audience watches happily as Dylan lowers his head to speak to her, admiring his sweet side. With that, he dismisses her, making the frightened girl run away. Dylan makes a broadcast microphone appear on his head. He asks for permission to represent the 6 heroes and carry out the hunt for the 4-fin demon. He wishes everyone the best for the great demon hunting tournament, and hopes his demo will be a good example for the brave vanguards. A box rises from the ground. The announcer decides to emphasize just how terrifying this demon is. They had to send 4-finned warriors just to capture it. When the box opens, a rare and fierce demon comes out, even among the 4-finned ones. It's a violent demon with a red core and a metal element. The demon wonders what's going on. It doesn't know the humans' plan, but realizes they're trying to contain it in an arena full of spectators. Angry and confused, the demon attacks the audience but crashes into a protective barrier. It falls, and Dylan asks if there's still any confusion. He explains that the barrier around the arena is very strong, created by one of the 6 heroes, known as the most powerful psychic warrior. The audience realizes there's an invisible barrier. Dylan tells the demon to die for his performance. The demon warns Dylan not to come any closer and attacks him with a slash. Dylan uses a shield to block and says the demon is just a brute with no manners. The demon strikes the shield, but it holds firm, absorbing the force of Dylan's counterattack. This Taimu version of Homelander tells the demon he has no right to defend himself. The demon wonders how a green core can withstand so much brute force. Normally, the green core represents regeneration and healing, which doesn't help much with brute strength. The demon throws a punch to prove his point, but Dylan uses green ropes to capture him and says it's his job to correct his misunderstanding. He introduces himself as a green core warrior who possesses a double core. The demon tries to give information about this power, but Dylan silences him. Then he hits him, making him explode and spill his blood. Homelander, from behind his shield, says, "This is the start of the great demon hunting tournament. Let everyone begin." He is amazed by Dylan's strength. The double core doesn't just double the power, their combined strength makes them even stronger. The 6 new heroes are more impressive than he thought, and he wonders how powerful the new king is. Even though he admires the new heroes, he's still upset about how they treated Lena. The announcer thanks Dylan and invites the vanguards to the stage. Dylan is popular, and the vanguards bow, except for our guy, of course. This makes Dylan ask the guy if he doesn't like him and if he holds a grudge against him. Aang says it's a misunderstanding, that he acts hostile before going on stage to help him focus. He knows that being a vanguard is tough. Dylan says he'll be keeping a close eye on Aang, finds him interesting, and doesn't want him to let him down. Our guy finds it funny that back in the day, while he was ripping out demons' guts, this guy hadn't even been born yet. The announcer tells the vanguards to gather and listen to the rules. The first task is to explore the forest. They must find the best route according to their squad's strength. Each squad must defeat demons within a time limit to earn points. The tournament features demons with no fins, as well as 1, 2, and 3 fin demons. The area is huge, so the vanguards need to find the best paths. The announcer says this isn't their home territory and asks them to be very careful. They must work alone so as not to attract demons. One vanguard wonders if this reminder is really necessary, and who would risk their life just to provoke a demon. Another agrees, saying that even though the demons with no fins or just 1 fin aren't strong, there's still a danger. The third vanguard says that fighting could attract even more demons. The fourth one reminds them to take care and not to forget that their chances of survival are less than 36%. One thinks that these 2-fin core warriors have little chance of surviving, since they're not strong. He thinks about synchronization and trust. The warriors are young and don't have captain responsibilities, immature compared to the 1-fin warriors like those from Yao Tong. Those from a village with few resources improve through life or death battles to protect their home, while these ones are already panicking. The announcer says that, like every year, there's a special part of the tournament featuring a level 4 demon. A 4-fin demon is locked up in a container. If a squad is strong enough, they can try to hunt it. If they hunt the 4-fin demon, the tournament ends and their squad wins. Aang notes that this part is the same as in previous years. A man says that even though they know the 4-fin demon gives more points, no one dares to take the risk. When the tournament starts, the vanguards leave except for Aang. He runs off to look for the 4-fin demon, saying that's his target. As Aang hurries, he sees that most of the vanguards are sticking together. It seems like the teams aren't going after the 4-fin demon, even though defeating it means winning. The young warriors are still afraid of the risks. Dylan, who is watching the vanguards, asks a woman for information. She asks which warrior he wants to know about. Dylan describes one with a lock of white hair who has taken a leisurely walk. The woman finds the info and tells him that he's listed on Wikipedia as a central 3-fin warrior. Dylan notes that the tournament allows warriors with up to 3 fins, but few central 3-fin warriors participate because of the high risks and rewards. This means our guy is on a higher level, which would explain his arrogance. Dylan asks for the warrior's name. The girl hesitates but reveals that it's Aang. Of course, just the mention of Aang disgusts Dylan. He gets angry and demands to know what she said. She explains that she was just reading the name from the report and shows it to him. He believes that anyone with that name deserves nothing but death. Meanwhile, the vanguards head into the forest and some of them run into demons. The announcer says that the vanguards have spotted demons and are marking their locations. This area will be the gathering point for the finless demons. He then watches as the vanguards run to their next point. Aang walks calmly, thinking that marking locations, planning routes, and finding the best path are all part of a vanguard's job. He overcomes his initial fear and starts to enjoy this nostalgic feeling. His teammates watch him, and one of them says that Aang looks like he's just taken a leisurely stroll. Another guy asks if they should really trust this guy. Paris is also watching him and doesn't seem too worried. She remembers their conversation where he told her she could trust him. She realizes that, unlike other vanguards, Aang doesn't follow the rules, but he promised that Picadillo would win. She believes that his promise and the trust in his eyes showed that he's serious. His display of power during combat training showed that he's becoming braver, and he even had the guts to talk to her without hesitation, which made her even more interested. Meanwhile, the vanguards are exploring and the demons are chasing him. One boy, scared by 3 single-finned demons, tries to get away. Soon he runs into a red 2-finned central demon and spots the 3-finned one. Some of the vanguards run away. One of them sees Aang standing still and warns him to run because of the 3-finned demon. He notices that this demon is on the path he needs to take. Suddenly, roots attack some of the vanguards. The audience is amazed by the demon's appearance and urges the warriors to escape. The demon declares that humans have trapped demons here and deserve to die. While the demon attacks Aang, he realizes that the demons in the tournament are much more violent than those outside. He dodges the quick attack and thinks that having so many spectators is a problem since he wants to go unnoticed. To avoid standing out, he decides to eliminate the threat quickly. Aang approaches the 3-finned demon, focusing on its core. Since the 4-finned demon is waiting for him, he doesn't have time for this one. With precision, he strikes the core with great force. The audience is stunned to see him defeat the 3-finned demon all by himself. He uses a metal sword and infuses it with that element to make it sharper and more damaging. After defeating the demon, he retrieves the 3-finned agility core and looks for the 4-finned one. He wonders if the terrain has changed. The higher-ranking spectators have the best view, so the 4-finned demon must be at the highest point. Dylan, seeing Aang, feels that the boy is clearly looking for the 4-finned demon. Aang stabs the demon. It's the 5th one he's defeated. He thinks they get stronger the further he goes, which is strange. Even though he wants to check the area, he has to keep fighting because the demons are chasing him. It makes sense that no one wants to be at the front. It's a suicide mission for low-level warriors. Aang has already defeated 5 2-finned demons, which should have raised his team's score. He hopes his team isn't surprised by his improvement. He thinks the 4-finned demon is on the highest hill with the best view. Dylan notices that this guy is ambitious and wonders if he's going after the demon alone or if the squad agreed to it. Right then, the announcer says that Aang is heading toward the 4-finned demon, which is strange since no one knows how he knows that. A member of Aang's squad asks if our guy is planning a route to beat the demon. He adds that their squad isn't strong enough to take down a 4-finned demon and asks if Paris decided this. Of course, the girl says no, that she has no idea what Aang is doing. She hopes he doesn't cause any trouble and knows their squad can't beat a 4-finned demon. The announcer reports that Aang has found the 4-finned demon and is planning his next move. People think Aang might run away, letting his squad attack first so he can get back safely. But Aang breaks the seal on the door to the 4-finned demon, surprising everyone. Aang challenges the demon to come out and fight. Meanwhile, Dylan goes crazy, fascinated that Aang won't let his squad fight and wants to face him alone. Aang wants to win the tournament as the vanguard. The announcer points out how incredible it is that the boy opened the container and is ready to fight the 4-finned demon alone, something never seen before. The crowd, of course, cheers wildly. The announcer declares that the vanguard is going alone against the 4-finned demon. Meanwhile, Aang's teammates ask Paris if that arrogant guy has lost his mind, since he doesn't stand a chance. The crowd also goes wild, amazed by Aang's bold move. Paris thinks that even with Aang's bending skills, a 4-finned demon is just too tough. He knows that fighting alone will require all his strength, which raises the question of whether Aang is ready. The 4-finned demon, a water element demon with a blue core, breaks free and sees Aang standing alone. It immediately attacks with an explosive drill. Aang swings his sword to create an earth wall, but the drill keeps coming. The earth wall is weak against the 4-finned demon, and Aang looks like he's in serious trouble. The demon mocks him, asking how he dares to fight alone and saying it'll tear him apart. In response, Aang summons a demon to help him and defiantly asks, "Who said I was alone?" Dylan realizes that the second demon helping Aang is one of the 2-finned ones he defeated earlier. The battle continues, and the 4-finned demon starts to feel something strange. Soon, he sees that Aang is controlling the demon's cores. Aang feels proud to have a skill exclusive to demons that no human possesses. Paris watches Aang use his special control ability, and the announcer is amazed. The 3 demons helping Aang were the ones he had already defeated. The audience is in shock. Aang orders the controlled demons to attack the 4-finned one. The bastard laughs, thinking that two-fin demons can't challenge him, and gets his extreme water gun ready. But before that, Dylan jumps in, hits the 4-fin demon, and slams him into the ground. Aang is surprised that the hero defeated the demon just by falling on him. Dylan apologizes for barging in. He says he was intrigued by the boy's abilities and wants a fight. Controlling dead demons is something new, and Aang seems capable of defeating even the 4-finned one. So this jerk decides to test Aang's strength. The announcer announces the challenge and the crowd goes wild with excitement at seeing such a rare event. A man asks Paris what's going on, and another explains that Dylan, one of the 6 heroes, is going to test Aang. Paris knows things are getting out of hand. Aang wonders if this guy has lost his mind. He can feel his murderous intent. Dylan notices that our boy doesn't seem scared, which is unusual for a young warrior. Aang replies that he had rigorous training and that's why he has such skills. His captain always expected a lot from him. This explains why his strength surpasses his peers, and he adds that people consider him a genius. Of course, Aang just makes up the first thing that comes to mind, thinking Dylan won't check his claims. But this brute finds Aang more and more fascinating and gets ready to attack, challenging him to show his full power. The rocks this bastard throws fly like bullets, fast and deadly. Aang dodges them, knowing that without being alert, he wouldn't have avoided the attack. Dylan comments on his opponent's agility. He says that explains his ability to dodge, and now he expects even more from him. Aang questions this guy's hostility, wondering why he's so aggressive. The big shot moves behind him and explains that he doesn't like his attitude or his name. He attacks again, but Aang dodges. The bastard keeps circling him and feels like our boy reeks a demon. Aang realizes he can't hide his demonic energy. It's impossible to avoid suspicion. Even while using less than half his strength, Dylan puts immense pressure on Aang, reminding him of his encounter with an 8-finned demon. Dylan reveals another reason for his aggression. He despises Aang's name. Our boy guesses that this hatred is tied to the old king who sacrificed himself for humanity and lost many comrades. Dylan lets his rage take over. He launches a fierce attack, forcing Aang to transform into his demon form. The clash causes an explosion. The audience is protected by a barrier. The announcer reports that Aang struck the new hero despite the huge difference in power. Dylan uses healing magic, but the announcer points out what's truly surprising, that Aang managed to injure him. Determined to end the fight, Dylan decides to kill Aang and points out the strong demonic scent he carries. The announcer declares that Dylan is about to unleash devastating abilities, including high-speed spinning energy gears capable of destroying everything. They hope Dylan will hold back and ask the audience to enjoy his performance. As Dylan charges up with so much power, Aang realizes he can no longer hide his abilities. If he does, this guy will kill him without hesitation. Now that he's weaker, Aang has no choice but to reveal his strength. Just as the two are about to clash, a protective barrier appears, stopping Dylan's attack. The new hero recognizes the barrier and realizes who's behind it. He asks why she's interfering, and Lena replies that even though Dylan says he hates the boy, she feels differently because she likes him. The woman is fully equipped in this battle stance from head to toe. Aang sees her too and wonders if she used the green core to restore herself. Dylan questions her, reminding her that she can't use battle gear and asking if she plans to challenge the king. Lina calmly tries to clear up the misunderstanding. She's only forbidden from hunting demons. No one ever said anything about using battle gear. Did you expect me to walk around unarmed? Aang notices that the girl is still as clever and lively as she was in the past. In his previous life, he was always facing her in battles, but now she's standing in front of him. The announcer announces Lina's arrival, a surprising event. Dylan acknowledges her reputation as a great warrior, warning her that it won't be easy and to choose her words carefully. Lena looks at him for causing such a commotion on an important day. Then she introduces Aang as her friend's son and says she thinks Dylan has tested him enough. Dylan laughs, calls him detestable, and activates his ability. A wave of dense energy spreads out, almost impossible to dodge. He launches the attack at Lena, but Aang steps in with his sword, blocking the first wave. The announcer warns that the following attacks are relentless, impossible to block. Lena suggests they fall back. Her shield protects them, but Aang refuses and takes the hits himself to keep Lena from getting hurt. Knowing his temperament, he fears the situation will escalate and lead to death. The announcer gets excited, calling this battle between heroes an incredible spectacle, rarer than seeing a 7-finned demon. Dylan gets more serious and launches his attack. He feels that his superior's efforts are invaluable and feels unworthy. Paris, watching, wonders what the hell he's trying to do. Meanwhile, Pong keeps provoking Dylan, asking him if he's satisfied with his performance. The announcer notes Aang's respect, while some wonder if the battle is over. They marvel at the devastation that would happen if all 6 heroes fought. For now, they're excited to see Dylan in action and cheer him on loudly. Dylan decides there's no point in continuing the fight. Aang insists on thanking him for his guidance and swears not to let him down. He promises to keep getting better. Dylan acknowledges Aang's performance, saying he's full of surprises and an impressive warrior. He tells him to keep working hard. The announcer congratulates our guy for earning the recognition of the new hero, an extraordinary achievement. They announce that Aang's team won the grand tournament, the fastest and most unexpected edition yet. Paris and his teammates are surprised at how easily they won. The announcer says that Aang's role as the vanguard and his strength secured their victory. They celebrate as the team receives the trophy. Paris congratulates the boy, saying he won the tournament and she'll grant him any gift. Overwhelmed, she hugs him tightly against her chest, saying he can do whatever he wants. Others tell him to let go so Aang can breathe. Afterwards, Aang reminds him of their agree-lamp. Paris agrees and promises to speak on his behalf, allowing him to enter the city and meet those responsible for the crystals. Aang thanks him and mentions that his cloak is dirty, asking for some clothes, since he won't be joining the celebrations due to a prior commitment. A girl jokes with Aang, asking if he has a date and if it's with a man or a woman, but he clarifies that he's going to visit an old friend. Later, Aang meets up with Lena, who is surprised that he showed up. She asks him how he knew it was the secret base. Her eyes fill with tears of joy, hoping he'll confirm that he's the same Aang she once knew. Then we travel through her memories, her past at the secret base, remembering how she and Aang used to come here. She always loved this peaceful place with its panoramic view of the city. He always teased her for acting like a little kid. It was the place they came to have fun, and that's why she marked it as the secret base that only the two of them knew about. Back in the present, she gets emotional and asks him if he's the same person who remembers their secret base. Before he can answer, she leaves, wiping her eyes and apologizing for losing her composure. She explains that he reminds her of someone very important. She admits that she was worried about him, that he was reckless in the tournament, and that he would have been in serious trouble if she hadn't arrived in time. Lena asks him to see it as her way of thanking him for his help near the statue of the most powerful warrior. Aang calls out to her, and Lena asks what he said. He gives her a gentle tap on the forehead, joking about how she's still worried about their secret base after all these years. Lena starts to cry when she realizes it, and Aang reassures her, saying it's wonderful to see her alive and well. He confirms that he's the same Aang and that he's returned to their secret base. Lena hugs him tightly, relieved, and asks why it took him so long to come back. Aang tells her everything, about his journey through time and the existence of an 8-fin demon at the monument of the ancient king. Lena is stunned, asking if 7-fin demons weren't supposed to be the most powerful. Aang admits he doesn't understand it either, but explains that he should have died 50 years ago. Somehow, he traveled to the present and something sinister is inside him. Lena is just happy that he's alive and gives him a warm welcome. Aang asks why the people of the city and the current population hate him and the 6 heroes so much, to which Lena explains that the hostility comes from their actions in the Battle of Dawn. Aang led warriors to the monument of the ancient king despite opposition. Many warned him not to go, fearing the consequences, but Aang ignored their concerns, instructing everyone to wait for his return and entered the monument with his team. When news of Aang's death at the monument spread, the warriors' morale collapsed. The most powerful warrior and their king were gone, leaving humanity in despair. The demons launched a massive counterattack, reclaiming everything they had lost. Human casualties skyrocketed, with 9 out of every 10 warriors perishing. For many, the tragedy could have been avoided if Aang had listened to the warnings. Over time, new heroes and a new king rose to power, many of them opposed to his decision. This led to widespread resentment toward him and his 6 heroes. The new king stripped them of their warrior status, leaving them despised and powerless. Aang is shocked to learn that his decisions caused so much devastation. Lena admits that a lot of time has passed and she got used to the resentment. She says the past doesn't matter anymore. It's not about who was right or wrong. She often stops by Aang's statue and thinks about the past, and now that he's alive, it's a miracle. Aang explains that he wanted to eliminate the demons and ensure a future without fear. Lena empathizes with his pain, but the consequences of his actions are hard to accept, and as king, he took the blame. Aang asks about the surviving heroes. Lena reveals that 3 of the 6 died in the battles after his death. A Yellow Corps hero was wounded, gave up his status, and went into hiding. The Blue Corps ghost opposed the new king, which led to his brutal punishment. They broke his hands and feet and threw him into a dungeon to die. Lena considers leaving. The memories are too painful. Aang gets furious about how the heroes were treated and asks why Lena hasn't gathered anyone to stand against the new king. Lena explains that the new king is extraordinarily powerful, the only warrior with 3 cores and fins. She doubts that even Aang at his best could defeat him. The 6 new double-core heroes with 7 fins surpass the previous ones. Aang can't let Daisha rot in the dungeon. They have to save him. He wonders how a 3-core warrior is even possible. Lina says there might be a way and asks if he knows that demons control elemental powers. Aang thinks about that. Lena explains that demons aren't just classified by their 6 core colors, but that they've also evolved into 5 elemental types: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. This makes them much harder to defeat. Aang realizes that earth is the only element he's missing. Lena reveals how elemental powers fuse with warriors, giving them great strength. Aang compares it to his own elemental bending. Since he's not sure, he wants her to elaborate. The woman explains that the gap between 4-fin and 5-fin warriors is huge. The strongest of the 5-fin warriors also seek fusion cores. Lena names the place where warriors search for fusion cores: Dracula's Cemetery Castle. Aang remembers a fierce battle there with more than 1 million warriors. The outcome gave the place its name. Lena adds that beneath the castle lie the cores of countless warriors and demons. Later, a new species of demon is discovered. Even the weakest of them have 5 fins. These demons have fusion cores in their chests, crystals that allow warriors to fuse with elemental powers. But not everyone can use them. Only 5-finned warriors with great physical endurance can successfully fuse. Aang is surprised and asks if it's possible to use all 5 elements with a single fusion core. Lena replies that fusion only allows you to control one element because the 5 are too different to work together. She says that no one, not even the new king or the 6 heroes, has ever combined more than one element. Aang is amazed by the strength of the warriors with their elemental cores. Back then, Dylan probably didn't show his true power in the fight because he had to keep up appearances and didn't want to break the barrier. If that guy had used all his strength, Aang would never have survived. She also adds that the new king and the 6 heroes are much stronger than the warriors from Aang's time. They have double cores and fully embody the elemental powers, making it impossible to rescue Disha from the dungeon. Aang thinks about the 4 elements he already has from the 8-finned demon, but realizes he's still much weaker than these heroes. He decides he shouldn't rely solely on the demon's powers and promises to become stronger. To do that, he feels he needs to visit Dracula's Cemetery Castle. Lena tells Aang that he's still not a 5-finned warrior. Aang replies that even though there's a big difference between the 4-finned and 5-finned levels, his goal is to surpass it in his lifetime. Later, Aang runs into Paris at the market and tells him about his new plan. He says he'll go alone after getting the energy crystal. Seeing how determined he is, Paris agrees to help him and go with him, hoping this will finally solve the energy crystal problem in Helios Town. As they walk, Aang spots Yi Aoteng and his companions just ahead. The captain is busy telling the team about his plan to visit the Warriors' War Department to ask for help. Meanwhile, Paris asks the boy why he stopped, and as soon as my friend greets his companions, they all rush over to hug him, excited to see him alive and stronger. Yi Aoteng notes that Aang has grown a lot, while Lan points out that he's also taller now. Now that they mention it, Aang realizes this might be because of the Demon Corps. Lan mentions that they had followed the commander from Bryan City just to watch the tournament. Luckily, Lu managed to get information about his whereabouts, but it turned out to be wrong. They had to go back to Dawn City, where Yi Yaotong made a deal and got energy crystals. They wanted to find him without knowing he was already in Dawn City. Aang is happy that the energy crystal problem is solved and offers to represent them. Paris watches the group for a while longer before leaving them. Before leaving, Yi Yaotang thanks her for looking after Ong, but she believes that our boy is the one who's been helping Pakadia City. Lan suggests that Aang talk to Lu since he hasn't been eating well since they got separated. The obsessive photographer also shows photos of Lu, who looks sad and distant. Aang goes to her, apologizing for making her worry, and promises not to go off alone again. Leo gets excited before speaking. The friends spend time laughing together. Lena watches from her hiding spot, remembering everything that has happened in her life with Aang and the other heroes. Seeing them reminds her of the bonds they shared. Leo dreams of a devastated area, helping Aang, asking him to stay awake and hold on. She begs him not to lose consciousness. Finally, they see an elemental crystal that they manage to obtain. This crystal allows the warriors to wield elemental powers from demons. A demon bursts in and mocks them, calling the warriors low level and saying that with the crystal they're only delaying the inevitable. The demon attacks Lu and knocks her down. Despite the attack, she only wants to fight to help Aang. The nightmare ends, and Lu wakes up in her bed, realizing it was just a dream, but it felt incredibly real, even the sensation of being stabbed. Sweaty and trembling, she decides to take a shower. Aang opens her door, saying he heard her scream. When he sees her in her nightgown, she throws a pillow at him and scolds him for coming in without knocking. Aang explains that he came because he was worried, but she yells at him to leave. Later, Aang waits for Lu outside the hotel. When she joins him, she decides it's time to go. Aang asks if she's ready, and she tells him to call their leader. He agrees and asks if she slept well, reminding her about the long trip. Lu assures him she's fine, but admits the nightmare scared her. She wonders how he can be so calm, even though the place they're visiting is stressful. They travel through a low-lying area on their way to Dracula's cemetery castle, and if they hurry, they'll get there by nightfall. He adds that they'll need to prove their strength to get in. Otherwise, they'll be treated as intruders. She remembers that Yi Ya Tong mentioned the castle as an important place where five-finned warriors obtain elemental crystals. A city has grown up around it, with military camps and high-level warriors. The area is heavily guarded to prevent unauthorized entry and to keep the castle's creatures from escaping. Aang asks her if she's afraid to go with him, since only five-finned warriors dare to go there. The captain is also worried about his recklessness, which is why he assigned him a type of green core recovery for his safety. Yao Tang not only wants to protect Aang, but also wants her to grow stronger alongside him and return as a two-finned warrior. She expresses frustration at how quickly Aang has leveled up, reaching 4 fins in such a short time. Aang remembers that the other 2 teammates were supposed to receive special training from the captain and were waiting for him. Lu, as the leader, says she has to keep an eye on Aang since he once left the squad without telling anyone. Aang gives her a mischievous smile, which irritates her. She accuses him of thinking about the incident that happened in the morning, but he denies it. In Dracula's cemetery castle, the warriors are recruiting others for their teams. Some squads require agility-type warriors, others need green core warriors, and all must have 5 fins to qualify. When Aang and Lu arrive at the castle, the warriors at the entrance notice them. They call out to Aang, a 4-fin warrior, and to Lu, who has only 1, asking where they're from. Some speculate that they're desperate. One jokes that the pair is lost, while another says they won't be allowed in because they won't pass the test. These guys are underestimating our duo. A group of warriors arrives, and one of them mocks Aang for bringing his girlfriend, but they ignore them, determined to enter Dracula's cemetery castle. Our girl gets upset by the teasing, but Aang tells her not to waste her energy on their stupid insults. It turns out the one who mocked them is Uther, a young master from the Mir family of Ula City. The warriors didn't expect someone to come to the castle for an elemental crystal with a 6-finned warrior. It's said that this warrior is one of the best hired by the Mir family. Someone nearby saw his hiring information, noting his strength and connection to the Mir family. They say the warrior already has an elemental crystal and gained power, so they believe Uther will succeed. Uther introduces himself as the young master of the Mir family from Ula, an A-level city. He boasts that everyone knows his family, the biggest guild in the city. He suggests to Lu that she doesn't belong there because she's a green core, and generously offers to make her his personal healer. Our duo ignores him, which annoys the bastard because they're not interested in him for his family. He assumes they don't know about the Mir family. The guy is arrogant, and Lu snaps, fed up, demanding to know who gave him permission to talk to her like that. Other keeps bragging and insulting her, which only makes her angrier. The bastard throws his companion aside, ready to attack our girl. Even though Lu isn't strong, she refuses to back down. Furious at his arrogance, she gets ready. Uther attacks her to teach her a lesson, but Aang steps in. Uther tells him to get out of the way and threatens to deal with him if he doesn't move. Aang reminds the bastard who started the fight, and warns that causing trouble would damage the family's reputation. He suggests Uther think about it, since the guards might deny him entry if he causes a scene. Of course, this arrogant guy doesn't back down. The six-finned warrior backs him up. He says all the warriors are strong, and making a scene would look bad for the Mir family. He advises Uther that there's no rush. Once they're inside, anything can happen. Well, now we can see what their plan are. Uther reluctantly backs off, says he won't waste time on weaklings, and moves on. The six-finned warrior follows him, using his earth power to hurl rocks at Aang, which my boy catches in midair. Sensing something unusual, the girl asks if something's wrong. Aang replies that it's just an annoyance, like mosquitoes, and suggests they continue with the test. The six-finned warrior is surprised at how easily he blocked his attack. Even though it was quick, it must have hurt his hands. The warrior tells Uther they should reconsider their contenders for the crystal, since Aang seems stronger than a four-finned. He can't gauge his strength. During the synchronization rate test, Aang scores 54% and Lu 42%. Lu asks if they passed, since there's no minimum requirement. Aang remembers that Lu's rate used to be 39%, and now she's not only a one-finned warrior, but she's improved to 42%, a remarkable increase. The woman administering the test notes that one is a four-finned warrior and the other is a one-finned. She then asks why they want to enter Boneyard Castle for an elemental crystal when the demons inside are at least three-finned in strength. Aang confirms their decision by explaining that Lu is the medic of their squad and he's a very agile warrior, so they can defend themselves. Of course, Lu frowns at being called just a medic. The woman explains that no warrior with less than 5 fins has dared to enter the castle, making them the lowest level entry on record. She reminds them that the elemental crystal can only be found in a special demon, and usually only one appears at a time. Once it's hunted, another one takes a while to show up. She also warns that they'll face not only demons, but also stronger warriors, and their lives will be at risk. She asks if they still want to proceed. Aang agrees, saying that his goal is more than just surviving, and thanks her for the warning. She lets him in. Lu recalls rumors that 9 out of 10 who entered the castle never came out. He admits he's scared, but feels a surprising sense of calm and confidence with Aang by his side. And with that, they enter Dracula's Boneyard Castle. And hide from the demons. Liu sees that the place is full of demons. Aang explains that it used to be a great city, like Dawn City, but after the demon invasion, it was abandoned and became a battlefield. The main castle and its surroundings are now taken over by demons and no one lives there anymore. People only call it the castle to forget its past. At this point, Liu is fascinated by how much he knows, but Aang downplays his knowledge, saying he just heard stories as a kid. He stands up and decides to start looking for the special demon and its elemental crystal. While doing this, they must avoid battles at all costs. Suddenly, Lu sees an explosion and thinks that some warriors are fighting hard. She asks him if they should help, but Aang says no. It's better to stay out of it while they're in the castle. Since she grew up in Helios, she probably doesn't know about the dangers outside. He warns her that the warriors they saw at the entrance are greedy and deceitful, so she should keep her kindness to herself. Suddenly, Aang sees a demon running toward Lu, but he quickly pulls her to safety, just like the cool guy he is. The demon is surprised that Aang reacted to his attacks. After all, his water attacks are silent and odorless, so they shouldn't be detectable. Aang realizes it's a 5-fin demon using silent water and agility to sneak up. Lu thinks that if our guy hadn't acted quickly, she would have gotten hurt. He then decides to deal with this bastard, saying they shouldn't attract other demons or warriors and need to finish the fight quickly. Lu agrees, not wanting any more mistakes or to be a burden to him. The demon asks if they really think they can defeat him, noticing that they're a 4-finned warrior and a 1-finned one, and wonders how they underestimated him. Then he disappears and jumps, launching a rain of spikes at him. Aang sees it as an Arya attack and tells Lu to get closer. He creates a protective barrier that stops the spikes. As he acts cocky once again, he notices the mix of wood and metal surrounding our duo. This makes him wonder if it's elemental power. He's confused about how this kid can control more than 2 elements, since human warriors can only have elemental power if they have 5 fins or more. Aang attacks the demon, and the demon warns that he'll pierce right through him. The demon uses spikes from the ground to attack. Aang uses his water element to get closer and asks if the demon was surprised. The demon smiles, saying it was just a joke and that even though Aang used water, he's still no match for the demon's agility and water combo. But my boy doesn't think so. He quickly signals to Lu, who's behind the demon. She kicks the demon and Aang stabs him with his sword. Together, they defeat the demon. Aang feels proud of their teamwork, which earned them the water core. Lu takes the core and, as a warrior of one fin, claims the four-finned blue core. Aang pulls his sword out of the demon's chest and praises Liu for her quickness. She repeats her usual phrase. Her family practices martial arts, so her moves are basic. Aang puts the sword over his shoulder and tells her they should get going. Their fight attracted more demons and warriors. As Aang starts to walk, Lu notices a small cut on his cheek. She points it out and suggests they find a safe place so she can heal him. Aang closes his eyes, touches his cheek, and smiles. He says it's nothing serious, just a little accident, so she shouldn't worry. Lu looks at him seriously and reminds him that they agreed she would be the one to heal him. It doesn't matter how big or small the wound is. If she can't heal him, then her role doesn't make sense. Aang agrees, respecting her determination, decides not to argue, and asks her to heal his cheek. Just then, someone rushes toward them. Lu tells her friend to duck, and they see it's Uther's bodyguard. While that bastard crashes in, the girl jumps as my guy blocks the blow without any problem. The man steps on the blade of his axe to apply more pressure, but this doesn't affect our guy. By now, the bastard can tell that Aang isn't just a four-finned warrior, he's got more potential. As for this bastard with the eye patch, he's a six-finned red core warrior and an Earthmaster. Lu tries to attack, but a green thread wraps around her body. Turns out it's the nurse from Uther's team who uses her three-finned green core to paralyze Lu. Our girl, focused on her teammate, didn't see it coming. The nurse approaches Aang, and he asks why they're attacking him instead of protecting their leader. Just then, Uther shows up, mocking the protagonist for his tough guy pose so he doesn't look weak in front of his woman. Being called our boy's lover surprises Leo, making her blush and get angry. Uther walks over and gives the nurse a slap on the butt, telling her he'll reward her when they get back to the city. He gently holds Lu's chin and smiles, saying he'll play with her after she watches her man die. Lu can't do anything, even though her switch has been flicked. She's paralyzed and can't move. The bastard mocks the protagonist, calling him four-fin trash and threatening to hurt Lu. Aang's body starts to glow with a purple aura. He can't take it anymore. Threatening Lu is the last straw. He gets angry and leaps at Uther. Uther's bodyguard jumps in to defend him, but Aang blocks the axe and sends him flying with a strike from his sword. The bodyguard has a lot of questions, since Aang controls the fire element like a pro, and, surprisingly, also manipulates wood. Sharp branches shoot out from the smoke, aiming straight at him. He tilts his neck to dodge, but still ends up with a small wound. Impressed by Aang's skill with two elements, he demands to know how he controls them. The bodyguard gets ready for his final attack, hoping to force Aang to reveal his secrets, but from the shadows, a five-finned blue core demon grabs the handle of the bodyguard's axe and roars fiercely. The bodyguard sees the threat and turns around, confused by the sudden appearance. He holds his large axe with one hand as the demon approaches. He starts sweating and can't understand why he didn't sense it. He drops the axe and backs up a few meters, bracing his hand on the ground. He realizes it's a five-finned demon. The demon silently grips the axe and then ignites its blue core. Using water, it lunges forward at incredible speed, leaving the axe floating behind. The bodyguard is left stunned, staring at the Dian. He realizes it can control water and gets ready. In a split second, the demon appears in front of him, attacking with sharp claws. The warrior reacts quickly, steps back, and blocks. He turns his head and sees Aang watching him. He insists that our guy put aside his differences and help him defeat the demon. Aang smiles, asking why he doesn't notice that the demon is only attacking him. That's when the bastard realizes that Aang is controlling it. The demon hurls icicles using its water power. He ducks and activates his earth element. Rocks and branches rise from the ground, forming a wall to block them. The demon's attacks break through the wall. Aang, impressed by his defense, says he's skilled and it's obvious why a family would hire him. The bastard summons his axe. The rocks fall away and lighten it. The axe glows and spins through the sky. He throws it at the demon, but the demon dodges it. He runs toward the demon, but a branch shoots up from the ground and wraps around his leg. Confused, he sees a wooden branch being controlled by our guy. The demon takes advantage of the distraction and leaps with claws ready, but the bastard blocks with his axe. The blow cracks the ground. Blood drips from his mouth. Dealing with 5-fin demons was never a problem. He's in trouble because Aang is setting up the surprise attack. Uther forces the nurse to fight. She hesitates, saying she's a healer and needs to take care of Lu. While they're arguing, Lu activates his green core when he realizes he can move his hand. Uther keeps forcing the nurse, saying the mission is failing and they won't get paid. She tries to convince her superior, but Lu appears out of nowhere and stabs her. The nurse tries to move, but she's paralyzed. She asks the girl how she managed to break free. Lu, being a green core healer, says she knows the healing and recovery system very well. The nurse closes her eyes, realizes Lu is really skilled, and faints. Lu pulls out the knife, telling Uther that her survival depends on her, since she didn't hit any vital points. Of course, this useless rich kid is furious. He demands to know why she dared to attack them by surprise, mocking her as a one-fin warrior. Lu comes closer and sees that Uther is breathing heavily and doesn't seem experienced. She tells him he's lacking combat experience and is just a 5-core warrior, forced into it by his family's status. She seems bloodthirsty as she says that people like him ruin the reputation of warriors. Uther, angry, insults her further by saying that his father spent years and money to make him a 5-core warrior using painful methods. He gets mad because Aang and Leo ruined his plans. While the bodyguard and the demon keep fighting, Uther yells at him to come protect him from this girl. Aang activates the wood element, sending branches to attack the bodyguard. He dodges, getting small cuts on his face. Bleeding, Uther tells the bodyguard to take care of Lu, since he's losing his patience. The bodyguard responds by calling him trash and telling him to give up. He calls Uther useless, saying he can't even fight a demon without fins. Uther's expression changes as he points and trembles, angry that trash like the warrior would insult someone important. Lu steps in, telling him to stop talking nonsense and mocking his reliance on family reputation and money. At first confused, Uther gets angry and activates his blue core, confronting Lu aggressively. He pulls out a knife, but Lu activates his green core and appears behind him, quickly stabbing him in the side. Uther turns to attack, but Lu dodges quickly, leaving him screaming as he charges up his energy. That's when Lu looks him in the eyes, realizing he never learned to control his energy. And if he tried to release all that energy, the consequences would be severe. Remembering the professor's warning about warriors who lose control of their cores, Lu smiles, thinking it's the perfect ending for someone like Uther. She gathers her strength and charges at him, ready to finish the fight. She activates her green core and her body is surrounded by a strong bubble of energy. She moves quickly toward Uther, who is starting to lose control of his body. He looks at Lu angrily and then smiles, saying she shouldn't have come here looking for a fight. Suddenly, she reaches Uther. He swings his knife, but she dodges just in time. Frustrated, he channels energy from his blue core into his dagger, making it glow. He starts looking at her fiercely and begins attacking her with a series of strikes. The girl blocks his attacks with her knife and steps back. Uther mocks her, saying that as a green core warrior, she can't keep up with his speed as a blue core agility type. Even though Lu has a green core, she easily dodges Uther's attacks. She gets a small cut on her cheek, but quickly finds an opening. She channels the energy from her green core around her knife, gets close to him, and strikes him in the chest, sending him flying. She attacks Uther again, moving his body aside with precise movements. Uther's surrounded by the energy of his blue core and tells her not to underestimate him because he is Master Uther of the Mir family. Anyone who mocks his family deserves to die. He stands up with his knife in one hand and stretches the other toward the sky, shouting. His body starts to glow with unstable blue energy, and he looks furious. Lu watches as Uther loses control and his energy turns into lightning that strikes everything around him. A bolt of lightning strikes near where Aang, the bodyguard, and the demon are. Aang senses the danger, activates his red core, and runs toward Uther. Uther's blue core explodes, creating a huge crater in the ground. Lu covers her forehead, feeling the protective shield hold up, but after the smoke clears, she hears someone praising her for breaking through the defense of a 5-core warrior. She opens her eyes and sees Aang standing in front of her, holding a wooden element shield. He smiles and congratulates her on a job well done. Lu gets up and tells Aang that Uther wasn't strong enough for a 5-fin warrior and that he was weak. Uther couldn't match her skills because he lacked combat experience. He notices her injuries and tells her to recover quickly. Lu is surprised and checks her small cuts, which she hadn't noticed before. Aang keeps praising her for her bravery and decision-making. The girl looks at him and blushes. She asks him not to talk about her. Then she asks if he's finished with the bodyguard. Lu stands up and they both look at the bodyguard. Aang tells her that the demon controlling him was destroyed by the explosion. The bodyguard approaches them through the dust. He says that his young master is dead. If he leaves the Mir family, he'll be hunted by warrior assassins, hitmen from a secret group led by Greed. One of them is a 7-core warrior. He rests his axe on his shoulder, looks at Aang and Lu, and calls them strong, but with low-level cores. Aang smiles, thinking there's no point in fighting. The bodyguard only had to protect someone who's already dead, so there's no reason to fight. The bodyguard looks at Aang and asks him about his strength and where he's from. Our guy smiles again and says he's just a 4-core warrior with some special skills.